Chapter 1136. The homeroom teacher in high school was more ruthless because she would read out your test results out loud. That way, everyone in the class would know your score. Zhang Xiaoxia, 92. The teacher handed over a test paper, and a small girl in the first row took it with her head lowered. Wang Mian, 96. Li Mengxi, 91. Wang Ziyao, 95. He Exin, 96. The teacher called out their names one by one. Huamin couldn't help but admire these juniors. They were indeed from the experimental class. It wasn't easy to get a score of 90 and above on such difficult questions. What was even more difficult was that the entire class scored 90 and above. The standard was too high, as expected of the experimental class. After the teacher gave out all the papers, there were still 2 more in her hand. Other than Huamin's, there was 1 more student who didn't get his. Du Hongguang, 100, the teacher said. The entire class suddenly burst into applause. A delicate-looking boy with slightly long hair walked up and silently took the paper. Getting a score of 100 on such difficult math questions was simply the craziest of the craziest. Everyone couldn't help but look at him with admiration. Then, the teacher looked at Huamin and said, Hua Lingling, 100. The entire class was silent. Everyone seemed to be waiting for this auditing student's score. The girls were waiting to laugh at this newcomer. The boys were waiting with anticipation. What was this girl's score? In school, there were only 2 things to be proud of. One was their looks, and the other was their scores. Hua Lingling, 100. After the teacher said that, Huamin stood up to take the test paper as expected. The entire class was shocked. How is that possible? Could it be a mistake? Could it be that our teacher purposely went easy on her? Do you think she plagiarized Du Hongguang's paper? That's impossible. They're worlds apart. Unless Sun Wukong has sharp eyes, how else could she copy? Everyone was talking about it one after another. Huamin calmly took the test paper and walked back to her seat. Wow, not bad. The chubby boy sitting next to her gave her a thumbs up. Huamin had never done some of these questions before, but they were not difficult for her. Since she chose to study medicine, it proved that her science grades were quite good. It wasn't surprising that he got 100. The questions I set this time are very difficult. They are beyond your comprehension, especially the last question. I didn't expect 2 students to get full marks. They are Du Hongguang and Hua Lingling. Let's give them a round of applause. After the homeroom teacher finished speaking, there was a warm round of applause. After math class, the little fatty came over again and gossiped. Hey, are you really a student from Xinhua? Yeah. Huamin nodded guiltily. But does Xinhua have such a top student? In the entire Sea City, our school is the best. Du Hongguang is a super top student. He's almost inhuman. I always thought that no one could compare to him. How are you so good? It's a shame that you're in Xinhua. You came to my class and saw that our school's environment and teaching are top-notch. Why don't you just transfer here? Don't go back. The chubby boy seemed to have a good impression of Huamin and kept trying to persuade her to transfer schools. Huamin smiled but didn't say anything then. She glanced at the boy who also got 100 points. After class, everyone else was playing, but he was still studying. Is he always like that? Huamin asked curiously. Yeah, his family isn't very well off. He used to study in the countryside, but because his grades were so good, our school made an exception and accepted him. They even gave him free tuition and books. I heard that his family is very poor, and he has a few siblings. He's also very frugal with his living expenses. He rarely eats meat and only eats vegetables and potatoes every day. The chubby boy rambled on, however. Huamin's heart ached as she listened to him. Just then, there was a commotion at the door, and many girls surrounded them. At some point, Qin Chu was standing at the door. Please call Hua Lingling from your class, Qin Chu said calmly to one of the girls at the door. Qin Chu wasn't used to her suddenly changing her name. Chapter 1137. Handsome, please wait for a second, I'll get her for you. The girl at the door nodded, flattered, and turned around to walk into the classroom. Hua Lingling, someone's looking for you at the door. Huamin slowly got up and walked to the door. Only then did she see Qin Chu in the middle of the crowd. "Why you here?" She lowered her voice and asked. Qin Chu picked up a bag of food and handed it to her. "What's this?" Huamin was a little dumbfounded. "Your favorite food." Huamin took the bag of snacks and found that it was filled with her favorite foods: donuts, lollipops, potato chips, sour plum juice, etc. All of a sudden, it brought back all of her beautiful memories. Back then, Huamin had a little quirk. She liked to eat carrots. She would buy them, wash them, and eat them raw. Everyone else ate fruits, but she ate carrots. She was even mocked by her classmates for being a rabbit. Back then, even though her family wasn't rich, they weren't thrifty. So, Huamin didn't like carrots to save money. She really liked them. They were crunchy, sweet, and delicious. Sure enough, under the bag, she saw a few carrots that she hadn't seen in a long time. "Thank you, Senior Qin." In order not to expose their identities, Qin Chu pretended to be a couple. In front of the other students, Huamin put on a show and bowed deeply to Qin Chu. Her acting was so realistic that she was speechless. Qin Chu narrowed his eyes and looked at Huamin with a faint smile on his face. "You're welcome." After he finished speaking, he lovingly patted her head and turned around. Once again, the girls screamed, "Wow, you know this super handsome guy? I just found out that he's also here today. He's in grade 12 class 5. Do you guys know each other?" A girl asked curiously. We're actually from the same school." "No way? He's also from Xinhua High? But, was there such a handsome man in Xinhua?" The third-year seniors said that this almighty is a top student. All the papers he did in the morning scored 100. Why is Xin so good? Naive high school students blindly believed that Huamin and Qin Chu were really classmates from other schools who came to listen in. Huamin actually felt quite guilty. She never liked to lie to others. Fortunately, it was a white lie. "This? Let's share it. My treat." He handed over the snacks in his hand. The female students immediately snatched up all the seats. They didn't care if the food was delicious or not. What they cared about was that super handsome senior who bought it. Huamin washed the carrots and returned to his seat. "Do you want one?" Huamin asked with a smile as he looked at the little fatty beside him. "Gosh, this is the first time I've seen someone eat carrots like fruits. Is that really okay?" The little fatty looked at Huamin with a strange expression. "I think it's better than fruits. It's sweet and crunchy. Most importantly, it provides vitamins." After speaking, Huamin cutely took a bite. She was glad that she only had 1 day of school experience. Otherwise, if she stayed for 3 to 5 days, Qin Chu would definitely come looking for her every day. By then, all the other students would probably think that they were dating. Just like 7 years ago, they knew that dating was prohibited, but they still flaunted it. The school knew that they violated the school rules, but they didn't punish them. The teacher even warned them to keep a low profile. This was because Qin Chu and Huamin were both top students. In the teacher's words, if they got full marks in every subject, she would allow them to date. Therefore, if they dated during high school and didn't interfere with their studies, they were definitely good seedlings. A happy and fulfilling day came to an end. When the school bell rang, all the students excitedly packed up their things and got up. "Hualingling, are you still coming to self-study at night?" the little fatty asked reluctantly. "No, I'm going home." "Then, are you coming to class tomorrow?" "No, I'm going back to where I came from." "Then, will we see each other again?" the little fatty asked. Chapter 1138. Maybe we'll meet again soon. Huamin smiled mysteriously and turned to leave. "Hualingling, this is for you." A boy stuffed a piece of paper into her hand and left. "Hualingling, what's your WeChat ID?" "I want to add you," a boy with a bright face asked shyly. "I don't have WeChat, I don't use it," Huamin lied guiltily again. "Hualingling, what's your phone number?" Another boy poked his head out and asked playfully with his tongue sticking out. Huamin was worried about how to answer. It was understandable that she didn't use WeChat, but if she said that she didn't have a phone number, she would be lying. Just then, her savior arrived. "Huamin." Zhu Lingling waved her hand from not far away, almost revealing Huamin's name to everyone. Hearing Zhu Lingling call her name, Huamin immediately ran over. How are you feeling today? Huamin asked her. Very good. It's just that my juniors keep saying that I don't look like a high school student because of my big breasts. It's so depressing. I explained to them that I'm a very well-developed high school student. Huamin laughed like a flower. What about you? How are you? Pretty good. I did a lot of papers and got to know some of my classmates. They're really innocent. I don't even have the heart to lie to them. Huamin held a carrot in her hand and munched on it as she walked. Wow, carrots. I can tell that Mr. Qin made them, right? How did you know? Huamin looked at Zhu Lingling in confusion, feeling that it was very strange. Other than Mr. Qin, who else would spoil you like this? Huamin smiled when she heard this. Indeed, there was probably no other man in the world who loved her as much as Qin Chu did. But at the same time, there was no other woman in the world who loved Qin Chu more than she did. This kind of bone-deep love was mutual. The two of them walked out of the school hand in hand and walked for a long time. It was to avoid the gazes of those students and avoid exposing his identity. Qin Chu posted the details of the car's stop in their WeChat group. Huamin and Zhu Lingling walked through a small alley and found GK's Mercedes-Benz RV. When he opened the car door and went in, Gao Ran and Qin Chu were already there. The two of them leisurely held their wine glasses. Welcome back, beautiful ladies, Gao Ran said with a smile. Bullshit. Why didn't you come to my class to see me? Did you get charmed by a junior in high school? Zhu Lingling pulled Gao Ran's ear and lectured him as soon as she got into the car. I swear to God, I played basketball all afternoon. You, on the other hand, I saw 3 or 4 boys surrounding you from afar, and you purposely stuck out your chest. What do you mean by that? Gao Ran retorted. The difference was that Huamin got into the car and sat right next to Qin Chu. Then, Qin Chu picked up his wine glass and put it next to Huamin's mouth. Honey, you've worked hard, Qin Chu said dotingly. Huamin took a sip of wine and then leaned on Qin Chu's shoulder. Them? Look at them, look at us. Gao Ran felt like the atmosphere wasn't right. Why did he and Zhu Lingling always have to be rude to each other or get physical? Meanwhile, Qin Chu and Huamin were always entangled with each other, like he was the wind and she was the sand. This didn't feel right. Don't try to change the subject. Tell me, did you do anything with that long-legged girl from the 9th class today? I swear, I'm innocent. Gao Ran covered his head and explained. You too, stop messing around. Let's go eat, I'm starving. Huamin reminded them with a smile. Okay, what's Mr. Qin going to treat us to? He's super rich, he can scam us however he wants. Why don't he treat us to a seafood feast? Gao Ran turned around with a smile. Qin Chu smiled but didn't say anything. He only said to the driver in front of him, let's go. Huamin looked out the window in boredom. Suddenly, she remembered that she received a note when she walked out. So, she took it out of the study room and opened it in front of everyone. Qin Chu glanced at the words on the note and slowly read it for her. Can we date? Huamin was immediately embarrassed. She immediately tore up the note and threw it out the window. Then she placed her right hand on her forehead. So, Lady Qin, can you explain what's going on? Qin Chu lowered his head and whispered into her ear. Chapter 1139. I think it was for someone else and I took the wrong one. Huamin immediately explained. Our girl is so popular. She's not stunning but she's a straight-A student. Straight-A students are so rare. Zhu Longlong smiled as she held onto Huamin's hand intimately. The 4 of them then took a Mercedes-Benz RV to a high-end restaurant in the city center and ordered seafood. As Huamin and Qin Chu chatted, they suddenly remembered something. Honey, how much did you donate to our alma mater this time? I donated 30 million yuan to the school's hardware to build a library, a computer lab, and a science lab. Oh. Huamin nodded thoughtfully. What's wrong? Qin Chu could tell that something was on Huamin's mind, so he asked softly. When I went to the 12th grade this time, I met a junior who was a straight-A student. He studied in the countryside, but his grades were so good that second high school made an exception and gave him free tuition and books. It's just that his family isn't very well off, so he doesn't eat well and his stationery isn't very good either. I think it's a pity. After Huamin finished speaking, Qin Chu immediately understood what she meant. Then I'll donate another 20 million yuan to the needy students of second high school to improve their food, stationery, and other daily necessities. Huamin nodded, but we have to be strict with this money. There's no guarantee that the school won't do something fishy and not give enough to the students, or that the students who really need it won't be able to apply for it. So, I think our company can send someone to take care of this matter. Qin Chu nodded. Huamin especially admired straight-A students who were good at their studies, especially those who didn't have good conditions but still worked hard. She really hoped that with their financial support, more children with dreams and ambitions would have a better tomorrow. He didn't want their future to be held back because of money. After the four of them finished eating, they walked out. However, they didn't expect to bump into Song Yisher, who came with her friends at the door. Her face was flushed from the alcohol. She drove the white Audi Q5. In fact, with Song Yisher's family's wealth, she could drive a sports car worth millions. However, because her father was an official and her identity was sensitive, she had to keep a low profile. After Qin Chu and Huamin moved away, she also sold the house in Imperial Park. Now that Lady Qin was ignoring her, she couldn't get close to Qin Chu. Therefore, she had been eating, drinking, and playing with her so-called best friends for the past few days. Before they came to eat seafood, they had already played in the bar for a while and drank a lot. Someone suggested that they eat seafood, so they drove here drunk. She didn't expect to see Qin Chu and Huamin here, so her expression was a little complicated. Qin Chu didn't intend to greet her. He put one hand on Huamin's shoulder and walked out. Song Yisher suddenly shouted, "Huamin, what's the matter? Miss Song?" Huamin turned around and smiled slightly. "I heard that you're a genius." Song Yisher was a little drunk, so her words were a little more arrogant than usual. Huamin was speechless. Huamin didn't know how to answer her question. If she said yes, it would seem like he was showing off. If he said no, it would seem too hypocritical. Mian is a genius, so what? Zhu Lingling glared at Song Yisher and answered on behalf of Huamin. "Huh? Then do you dare to compete with me?" Song Yisher chuckled. "There's no need for that." Huamin looked at Song Yisher calmly. Was there a need to compete to prove that she was a genius? How tiring would that be? If you want to be a genius, then go ahead. I can directly admit that you're the smartest person in the world, and no one is smarter than you. Huamin enunciated each and every word unexpectedly. This sentence angered Song Yisher. So, are you scared? Maybe you don't have real talent at all. You're just a genius artificially packaged and bragged. You're afraid of me, so you don't dare to compete, right? Song Yisher sneered. Chapter 1140. You like to dream, I don't blame you. Huamin calmly looked at Song Yisher. What do you mean? Song Yisher heard the sarcasm in Huamin's voice and was immediately displeased. I mean exactly what I said. Then, Huamin held onto Qin Chu's arm and smiled sweetly. Honey, let's go. Okay. Qin Chu nodded. He didn't even look at Song Yisher. Huamin's complete disregard of Song Yisher triggered Song Yisher's jealousy. Bitch, Song is so disgusting. Why don't you give her a good scolding? She'll spoil your appetite. Zhu Lingling said in disgust. Arguing with someone like her will affect my IQ. I saw something on WeChat and thought it made a lot of sense, Huamin said with a smile. Qin Chu, Gao Ran, and Zhu Lingling all looked at her, as if waiting for her to continue. If an idiot argues with you, then you must agree with her point of view and her attitude. You must train her to be the best idiot, Huamin said word by word. Ha! That's so funny. Zhu Lingling laughed out loud. Gao Ran also gave her a thumbs up. You're amazing, you're the best. Qin Chu lovingly raised his hand and rubbed her face. Where did you get all this nonsense from? I just think it makes sense. Huh, if Song Yisher thinks she's a genius, then she is. If she thinks she's smarter than me, then she is. I don't care, it's just a title. Oh, you make it sound like you're some kind of master who has seen through the world. Zhu Lingling laughed. The four of them approached the Mercedes-Benz RV. Gao Ran held Zhu Lingling's hand. Before he could say anything, Huamin said, Lingling, why don't you stay at my house? I don't think that's a good idea. It's so inconvenient. I'll be interrupting your time with Mr. Qin. Zhu Lingling smirked. He won't. I'm on my period and he can't do anything bad. Huamin purposely laughed. Zhu Lingling, ahem. Goddess Hua, please don't do this to me. Your period is here, but she didn't come. Can you please let me live? Gao Ran begged with a sad face. So, are you two going on a date? Huamin teased them. You bastard, what are you talking about? Who's going on a date with you? Zhu Lingling was usually loud, but at critical moments like this, she got shy easily. She immediately turned around and punched Gao Ran. Okay, honey, if you keep teasing them, they're going to cry. Let's go. Qin Chu dragged Huamin into the Mercedes-Benz RV. Gao Ran and Zhu Lingling then left in a taxi. Gao Ran had been staying at Zhu Lingling's place for a while now. Since Zhu Lingling rented the place herself, it was more convenient for them. The truth was, the two of them didn't like the idea of staying at a hotel. It was like they were having an affair. Plus, Gao Ran was the captain of the criminal police department. It was weird for him to check into a hotel with his ID. On the way back, Huamin leaned into Qin Chu's arms and whined, "Honey, why haven't they talked about marriage yet? They're already so old, seriously." Huamin complained about Gao Ran and Zhu Lingling. That's too soon. They haven't been together for long. But they've known each other for so many years. They haven't really been together for long. If they get married, it'll be too sudden. Don't worry about it. Qin Chu smiled and pinched his cheeks. The next day was Sunday, and Huamin didn't rest. Instead, she went straight to work at Southside. On Monday, she asked for leave again. This was because on Monday, she and Qin Chu returned to Second High with a donation of 50 million yuan. This time, they didn't return as students. Instead, they returned as GK's president and his wife. At 8 in the morning, the entire school held a meeting. Thousands of students gathered in the school's auditorium. Huamin and Qin Chu took off their uniforms. Qin Chu wore a black suit, and Huamin wore a white mid-length down jacket. The two walked up to the podium hand in hand. The audience went wild. Oh my God! Isn't that the handsome guy who sat in on our class? Isn't that the straight-A student in our class, Hua Lingling? The students in both classes were confused. Chapter 1141. Everyone, please quiet down and let our principal say a few words. After the dean finished speaking, he handed the microphone to the principal of Second High. The principal of Second High was a man in his 50s. He had white hair, glasses, and a serious expression on his face. Students, I'm sure some of you are familiar with these two. Today, I'd like to formally introduce them to you. The man standing next to me is the CEO of GK, Mr. Qin Chu, and the woman standing next to him is his wife, Huamin. Both of them used to be students of Second High and came back 2 days ago to experience campus life. After the principal finished speaking, the crowd went wild again. The girls of grade 12 class 5 all screamed in unison. No wonder he's so handsome. So he's President Qin? Wow, that's so cool. The chubby boy from grade 12 class 8 was so shocked that his glasses almost fell to the ground. The transfer student he had a good impression of, the pretty girl who was a straight-A student, was actually the famous senior Huamin? Why was Huamin famous? It wasn't because she married Qin Chu and became Lady Qin that she was famous. Instead, there were many legends about her at Second High. She was a genius. Back then, her middle school entrance exam scores were shockingly high. After she entered Second High, her college entrance exam scores were even more shocking. She could have gone to the best school in Jing City, but she gave it up and chose to stay at a third-rate medical school. This caused a huge uproar in the city at the time. Apparently, the instructors of Jing City University went to her house several times to persuade her to change her mind, but she refused. Even the former teachers of No. 2 High School had tried to persuade her. Such a legendary figure actually appeared at their school. What was even more amazing was that she used to be in the same class as him. They even sat so close to each other. The chubby boy felt his blood pressure skyrocketing, and he almost fainted. Wow, no wonder she's so good at the exam. She's a genius, the students of grade 12 class 8 exclaimed. Then, the principal said, as one of the most successful graduates of our school, President Qin and Lady Qin came back to school to experience the world. They've decided to officially donate 50 million yuan to our school today. 50 million? Oh my God, that's crazy. Oh my God, they're so rich. We don't understand the world of the rich. Then, the principal continued, 30 million yuan will be used as a donation for the library, computer lab, and science lab. The other 20 million yuan will be overseen by the school and GK Corporation's employees. This money will be used as a subsidy for needy students. In the future, students with good grades and poor family backgrounds will receive a fixed monthly allowance, including food and daily necessities. Let us give them a round of applause and thank them for their contributions to our alma mater. After the principal finished speaking, the entire hall burst into thunderous applause. Huamin stood calmly on the stage with a smile on his face. In fact, she didn't do all this for the sake of her reputation, because she didn't care about her personal gains and losses. But this time, when he returned to his sophomore year to experience life, he especially sympathized with the top student named Du Hongguang. She was so good at her studies and worked so hard, but she ate so poorly because her family's conditions didn't allow her to. Everyone knew that high school life was very tiring. Many children needed to eat nutritious food to replenish their brains. According to other students, Du Hongguang's father would ride a bicycle for 30 miles to Sea City to deliver 20 boiled eggs to him. Huamin was very touched by his father's love and sympathized with him. Therefore, he tactfully expressed his gratitude to Qin Chu, and Qin Chu immediately gave him an extra 20 million yuan. But Senior Qin, Senior Huo, they're my idols. They're so compatible, a girl said with infatuation. No wonder Senior Qin treats the top students so well. They're husband and wife. I'm so jealous. The girls felt like they were watching a melodramatic TV series where two big shots magically appeared in front of them. Mr. Principal, can Senior Qin say a few words? A courageous girl stood up and yelled. The other students immediately followed suit. The principal was easy to talk to and handed the microphone to Qin Chu. President Qin, please say a few words. Chapter 1142. Qin Chu wasn't a person who liked to be in the limelight. He didn't want to reveal it, he just wanted to show his face with Huamin. He just wanted to explain that he didn't mean to lie to everyone, so he didn't prepare anything beforehand. However, since the principal handed him the microphone, he couldn't reject it directly. Therefore, he slowly took the microphone, looked around the room, and said, "In my life, I've been in school for more than 10 years, and the most unforgettable experience is my time at second high. During those 3 years, I met my wife, Huamin, and we experienced the most beautiful love of our youth. Many years later, we were able to get married. It's all thanks to that chance encounter." Huamin was slightly touched. She tilted her head and clapped her hands as she looked at Qin Chu with tears in her eyes. In a person's life, there are two things that are most painful: not being able to have something and losing it. However, I was lucky enough to have something that is most precious to me. This is my fortune and my blessing. You're still young, so you might not understand what I'm saying now. However, when you enter society and meet someone you like, you'll understand everything. I just want to tell you 2 key words: cherish. After Qin Chu finished speaking, the audience applauded thunderously. Principal, can you tell us what Huamian is doing now? The school has always said that she refused to go abroad and the invitation from Jing University to stay here. Is that true? A straight-A girl from the student council couldn't help but stand up and ask. The principal looked at Huamin inquisitively. After getting her approval, he took the microphone and said, "I'm sure many of you are interested in Huamin. She's the one with the highest middle and high school scores in the 100 years since the school was founded. She also surprisingly chose not to go abroad or to Jing University. She's the only one who chose to stay here. I just received her approval, so I'll give you a brief introduction of her life." All the students listened quietly as if they were very interested in this genius girl. After she left second high, she did stay at a local medical school. She majored in nursing. After the principal said this, the room was in an uproar. She was once the most outstanding genius, but she had actually condescended to choose the nursing profession. After graduating from high school, she successfully entered the first hospital for an internship in the gynecology and obstetrics department. Hearing this, everyone felt that it was a pity. Some people even guessed that she might have been traumatized by her breakup with Xianxia. At this moment, the principal added, however, there was once a pregnant woman who suffered from severe bleeding in the middle of the night and went to the first hospital for treatment. The doctor on duty skipped work. With a life at stake, she made a shocking decision. Together with a nurse colleague, the two of them performed a major cesarean section on the pregnant woman. Wang Lin successfully became the chief surgeon and the anesthesiologist. The operation was extremely successful, and both mother and child were safe and sound. Holy shit! That's too awesome! As expected of a top student. Grade 12 Class 8 exclaimed in astonishment, along with some praises and applause. Wang Lin bit his lips as he listened to the principal's introduction of his life experience. To be honest, it was her first time experiencing such an occasion, so she was quite nervous. Perhaps Xianxia could tell that she was uncomfortable, so he reached out and held her hand tightly, giving her encouragement. The principal continued, after that incident, an exception was made for her and she was promoted to an official employee. Later on, she was transferred to Southside Recuperation Center as an orthopedic nurse. After that, she was promoted to head nurse because of her outstanding performance. Later on, the director's family member was involved in a car accident. Faced with such a difficult surgery, none of the doctors were confident that they could succeed. Wang Lin went to the hospital in the middle of the night and personally performed the surgery. Once again, a mother and daughter were saved. Everyone exclaimed in shock once again. Chapter 1143. No way! She's that amazing? She's not human, she's a god. Some of the boys didn't believe the principal. They thought the principal was exaggerating. Later, the director thought it was a waste of her talent, so he reported it to the hospital together with several senior chief physicians. She became the first person in the city to successfully transition from a nurse to a doctor. She got full marks in all her subjects and got a doctor's registration certificate. There's also a small interlude here. She successfully completed the human anatomy experiment that wasn't part of her exam. She even did it perfectly in the shortest time possible. The audience gasped again. What's even more amazing is that after she got her certificate, many departments in the hospital fought to hire her. She's proficient in 5 specialties: obstetrics, gynecology, ophthalmology, neurology, and orthopedics. Holy shit, is she even human? The audience gasped again. Now, Senior Hua is the youngest neurologist in the medical industry in the country. Let's applaud her excellence. After the principal finished speaking, the audience burst into deafening applause again. Xianxia looked at his beautiful wife lovingly. At this moment he was proud of her. Principal, let Senior Hua say a few words and give us some noble advice, a student shouted. Then, someone else followed suit. The principal handed the microphone to Wang Lin again. She was quite excited. After looking around the room, she slowly said, I'm very grateful for everything that I have today. We can't take everything that we have for granted. A lot of it was given to us by the heavens, and a lot of it was earned through our own hard work. I've never admitted that I'm a genius. I'm just like everyone else, working hard and struggling. There's actually no shortcut to success. There's only perseverance and a serious attitude towards everything. Finally, I'd like to say something that I like to say to all the juniors. Everyone held their breaths as they waited for her to say this. She said, there's no such thing as reaching the heavens in one step, only a foolish old man can move a mountain. 3 seconds later, the audience burst into thunderous applause again. Hisk, no wonder she's a straight A student. Look at her humble attitude and her words. At this moment, the chubby boy was treating Wang Lin as his idol. She was perfect. At this moment, a boy in the crowd suddenly shouted, Senior Hua, I love you. It's too late for you to love her. Your senior sister is already taken, the principal replied jokingly. Wang Lin and Xianxia looked at each other and smiled. At noon, the principal kept asking them to stay for lunch. However, Wang Lin and Xianxia were too busy, especially Xianxia, who had tons of things to deal with at GK. After that, the two of them did not eat. Instead, they drove straight out of the school. Honey, do you think it's a good idea for us to be so high profile? Huamin asked with a smile. Why does it seem like you came back to school to show off? Even if you want to show off, you have to have the ability. If you were an ordinary employee, what else could you show off? Xianxia asked. Okay, you always have a point. Huamin smiled. Honey, you don't have time to have lunch with me, right? Seeing that Xianxia had rejected the principal's invitation, Huamin guessed that he was busy again. Yeah, I need to go look at the design plans for the resort. I have to finalize it today. Then I'll go eat at my mom's place. I don't have anything to eat at Southside at this time. Okay, I'll drive you. Then, Xianxia drove Huamin to Sky Blessing Court in his Maybach and turned around. When Huamin walked in with his bag, his mother wasn't home. Yang Xiaoping was leaning against the sofa and playing with her phone. It seemed like she was talking to someone on WeChat. When she saw Huamin walk in, she immediately put her phone down on the sofa and stood up. Cousin Huamin, why are you here? Chapter 1144. Yeah, where's my mom? Oh, Auntie went out to meet up with a friend. Oh. Huamin nodded. Then, do you have anything to eat at home? Huamin had been busy all morning and was quite hungry. There's nothing at home. I can order takeout for you. Here's the phone number, Yang Xiaoping said as she picked up a food delivery card. It's okay, I'll be going now. Huamin actually didn't like takeout and preferred to cook for herself when she had time. Of course, she had eaten her mom's cooking since she was a kid. However, cousin Yang Xiaoping kept up with the times. She even knew how to order food. Didn't her mom say that she was very virtuous? Was she super good at cooking? Cousin Yang, did you come alone? Yang Xiaoping asked as she followed Huamin out of the house. Is my cousin-in-law busy? Isn't that company really beautiful? I really want to see it when I have time, Yang Xiaoping mumbled quietly. Yeah, he's very busy. Huamin didn't say anything else as she turned around and left the house. Huamin found it quite interesting that Yang Xiaoping kept asking about Xianxia. She was young, but she was quite ambitious. She had her eyes set on Xianxia. Huamin smiled and didn't say anything. Then she hailed a taxi. After she got into the car, she took out her WeChat. Slightly, are you there? Sir, let's keep going. I'll decide where to go in a bit and let you know, Huamin said to the driver. The driver nodded. Jiang Xiaowei immediately replied, Yeah, I'm here. At home, or? At home, I'm so bored. Do you want to come and see me? Jiang Xiaowei asked jokingly. Yeah, I want to see you. Can you take care of my meals? I'm so hungry, I haven't had lunch yet. Huamin smiled. Really? Jiang Xiaowei was ecstatic. Come on, you're so welcome. I'll get the kitchen to prepare some delicious food. Jiang Xiaowei was very excited when she heard that Huamin was coming to her house. Ever since she stopped working and stayed at home to take care of her pregnancy, she had been extremely bored. Huamin took a taxi directly to the villa area where Jiang Xiaowei and Wei Liao lived. This was also a well-known wealthy district in the city. The Wei family had never lacked money. Whether it was the decoration, the location, or the house type, it was the best. I heard that even Xiaowei's white Lexus has been replaced. Although it was still a brand, it had gone from a $400,000 Lexus to a $2 million Lexus. He was simply a tycoon among tycoons. When Huamin arrived, he bought a lot of high-end fruits for Jiang Xiaowei. Holding a fruit basket in each hand, his strength was unparalleled. Fuck, are you kidding me? Are you Hercules? Why did you have to buy such a vulgar flower basket? Jiang Xiaowei exclaimed. I'm giving you food, so just eat it. Why are you talking so much nonsense? Huamin placed the fruit basket on the coffee table in the living room with a bang. Then he followed Jiang Xiaowei to the dining room. There were only the two of them in the huge dining room. There were a total of 8 dishes, a mix of meat and vegetables. It was simply too tempting. I'll give you 32 likes, you're so efficient. Huamin gave her a thumbs up. My housekeeper made it, it has nothing to do with me. But it tastes good, hurry up and eat. The two of them chatted as they ate. Is Wei Liao still so busy? Busy my ass, he's so free every day. Sometimes he comes home at 3 p.m., even earlier than elementary school students, Jiang Xiaowei complained. Huan Min couldn't stop chuckling. When Jiang Xiaowei was funny, she was almost as funny as Zhu Lingling. Huan Min felt that with these two friends in her life, she would have 2/3 more laughs in her life. Have you seen Su Yu lately? Jiang Xiaowei suddenly asked. No, why? Chapter 1145. The Su family is really anxious about Su Yu's marriage. They've been arranging blind dates for him. Even Wei Liao said that he's sick of seeing so many women. Maybe the Su family is just being nice. Huan Min never commented on Su Yu's affairs. After all, his identity was a bit sensitive. I think that even if he went on blind dates 100 times, it still wouldn't work. It's useless if the person he's going on blind dates with looks like Chang. Why do you say that? Huan Min raised his head and looked at Jiang Xiaowei in confusion. Because Su Yu still has you in his heart. Jiang Xiaowei's words hit the nail on the head. Huan Min felt a bit awkward. Let's eat. Huh? I'm starving. Huan Min changed the topic and didn't continue discussing it with Jiang Xiaowei. While eating, Huan Min didn't forget to take pictures and show off. Then he posted them on his WeChat friend circle, free loading at Dr. Zhang's house. The 9 pictures below were all of the dishes. In order to make up the 9 pictures, Huan Min even gave a picture of the rice. You have OCD, seriously? Jiang Xiaowei complained. Huan Min smiled but didn't say anything. Sis, you're so lucky, you can eat so much Chinese food. Ji Xin, who was overseas, immediately liked and commented. When you come back, I'll take you to eat Chinese food every day. You can eat as much as you want, Huan Min replied. That's great, I love you so much. Ji Xin smiled. Damn, you heartless guy, you didn't even wake me up for dinner. You're so heartless, Zhu Lingling immediately complained. You had 300 rounds with Captain Gao last night, of course I wouldn't wake you up. You probably won't wake up until sunset, right? Damn, you're so perverted. 300 rounds? How can you say that? Goddess Hua is no longer the pure girl in my heart? Zhu Lingling laughed. You're thinking too much, what I meant was, you guys played poker all night. What else did you guys do that we don't know about? Huan Min purposely asked. Huan Min, come here, I promise I won't beat you to death. Realizing that she had been played, Zhu Lingling was furious and started bickering with Huan Min. After Huan Min and Jiang Xiaowei had lunch, the maid washed a lot of fruits. The two of them were basking in the sun on the top floor of the villa in the middle of winter, blowing on the heater. It was really beautiful. Jiang Xiaowei was reluctant to see Huan Min leave. Girl, when are you coming to visit me? Fine, don't make it sound like you're visiting me in prison. You're pregnant, not a prisoner. If you miss me, you can come find me anytime. Ha, you're welcome to harass me. Okay, I'll come find you at Southside tomorrow. Okay, I'll treat you to lunch in the cafeteria. After the two reluctantly said goodbye, Huan Min took a taxi back to South Hill Manor. Huan Min didn't get much rest over the past few days, so she slept through the afternoon. When she woke up, it was already 5 o'clock. Then she realized that she had 3 missed calls on her phone. They were from a landline in the city. While she was in a daze, another call came in. It was from the same landline. Hello. Is this Miss Huan Min? An unfamiliar female voice asked. That's me. Huan Min nodded. Hello, Ms. Huan Min, I'm Wang Shui, the director of the TV station. Hello, how can I help you? Huan Min frowned slightly. She didn't remember knowing this person. Chapter 1146. Here's the thing, our TV station is launching a new live show called The Strongest Brain in History. We would like to invite you to be our guest. Guest? Sorry, I'm not interested. Huan Min instinctively refused. Ms. Huan Min, I hope you can come. I've done research on successful people in your city, and I'm very interested in your information. I heard that you were a genius when you were young and had a very high IQ. This time, our show, The Strongest Brain in History, matches your characteristics very well, so we really hope you can come. The pay is also very generous. I don't need money. Huan Min smiled faintly. I know, but if you can win out of the 12 challengers tonight, our TV station will give you a 1 million yuan prize. This money will be used to help the poor children in our neighborhood. Don't you want to do charity? As expected, upon hearing this, Huamin fell silent. She didn't want to be on TV, especially live. However, if she could help more people, then it was a different story. Can I think about it? I'm sorry, Ms. Hua, but we're going live tomorrow night, so I really don't have time to think about it. If you want to come, then you have to decide now, or else we'll have to find someone else. If I don't go and someone else does, then the prize money will be donated to the poor children, right? Yes, but it's a different story. You're worth 1 million yuan, but if we find someone else, we'll probably give you 100,000 yuan at most. You're a young lady of GK, and you're also a chief physician at Southside, so you're worth a lot. The director patiently explained. I see. Then what time does it start tomorrow night? Huamin asked. It starts at 8 p.m., about an hour and a half. Just this once? Huamin asked cautiously. Recently, a lot of popular shows aired on a weekly basis, from season 1 to season 2. Huamin really didn't have that much time. Yes, just one day. Okay then, I'll agree. Thank you. I hope you can come to the TV station at 7 p.m. sharp tomorrow night. Find me, we'll do our makeup first and then start the live broadcast. All right. Huamin calculated the time. He would get off work at 5:30. After a simple meal, he would be done by 7. Wouldn't it be great if he could really get a 1 million yuan stipend? On the other end, after the director hung up the phone, he looked at the woman opposite him attentively. Miss Song, it's done. Did she agree? Song Yisha asked casually while trimming her long nails with a nail clipper. Yes, he said he'll be here on time tomorrow night. Then tomorrow night will be the important moment when the mask of this genius is torn off. Miss Song, if Huamin is really that good, what should we do? Wouldn't we be shooting ourselves in the foot? Before the director could finish speaking, Song Yisha impatiently threw the nail clipper on the table. Are you an idiot? Those questions were set by our people, so I definitely saw the answers first. How could we lose? No matter how good she is, there's no way she's faster than me. Plus, she studied medicine, so tomorrow night we'll ask about everything from astronomy to geography. There's no way she'll know everything, so we'll just ask the weird ones. Yes, Miss Song is so smart. Then tomorrow night, I'll appear as the finale guest tomorrow night. I'll definitely erase her title as a genius. Song Yisha sneered. She suddenly felt that Qin Chu liked Huamin because she had always been called a genius. If she fell off the altar tomorrow night and was no longer a genius, then people would laugh at her. If she did that, people would laugh at her, and Qin Chu wouldn't like her as much. Meanwhile, Huamin was eating dinner by herself. As she ate, she thought about what kind of show, the strongest brain in history, was. Why would they spend 1 million yuan to invite her to appear for an hour and a half? Even the best actors and actresses didn't pay that much? Was there something fishy going on? Chapter 1147. By the time Qin Chu came home, it was already past 8 p.m. Huamin had already showered and was lying on the bed reading Yu Chuyu's Notes from the Mountain Residence. In fact, most of the time, Huamin didn't like the fast-paced life in the city. She preferred to be a little lazy. She would wake up naturally in the morning, eat breakfast slowly, and then sit on the balcony window with a fat cat in her arms while reading a refreshing book. Huamin yearned for this kind of life. However, she couldn't do it now. She wanted to strive for it while she was still young. After all, she had to live for a reason. As for those fantasies just now, she planned to realize them after she and Qin Chu retired. The two of them traveled around the world while living a simple and undisciplined life. If you want to retire, you should look like you're retiring. What are you thinking about? Qin Chu showered and went straight to bed. He cupped Huamin's adorable face and kissed her sweetly. After a day of tiredness and busyness, Qin Chu looked forward to the moment when she came home. She could see the person she loved waiting for her in bed. Then, the two of them chatted about their daily lives, talking about the day's events and sharing their experiences. I'm thinking about our retirement life. Retirement? Honey, you're thinking too much. We're only in our 20s. Chu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It'll be fast. Haven't you heard of the phrase, time flies? Don't you think it's been 7 years? Min looked at Chu unhappily. It'll be fast. Chu narrowed his eyes and seriously thought about what his wife said. So, I'm thinking about it now. It's getting late. Maybe in the blink of an eye, we'll be old. Min snuggled into Chu's arms and thought about the future. Are you busy at work today? Not bad, it's pretty much the same every day. Chu nodded. He wasn't interested in managing a company, but he had to manage it because it was his family business. However, since he started it, he wouldn't let it slide. Ever since he took over GK, the company's performance had skyrocketed. The major shareholders all praised Chu, and Chu's father could retire without worry. This was the rule of a son inheriting his father's business. Oh, honey, tomorrow night? I have a live broadcast. Min suddenly remembered this important event and immediately discussed it with Chu. Live broadcast. Chu slightly frowning. What show? It's called The Strongest Brain in History? I've never heard of it. I've never heard of it either. I heard it's a new show that invites successful people in the industry to show off their IQ. I'm not interested in that kind of thing, but I'm interested in their charity fund. The director said that if I do a live broadcast for 1.5 hours, the show will give out 1 million yuan as a charity fund for poor children. If I can help those children by doing a live broadcast, why not? I see. Okay, it's up to you. Don't work too hard, our family doesn't lack money. Chu hugged Min dotingly. I know it's not about money. I just want to do something within my means. I understand. Thank you for your understanding, Mr. Qin. Let's go to bed. We can't go to bed yet, Do you still have work to do? Min looked confused. I still have an important job to do. Chu said in all seriousness. Okay, go do it then. Min nodded dumbly and continued reading. However, Mr. Qin immediately pressed her down on the bed, and he covered her mouth, so the important thing Mr. Qin was talking about was this? The next morning, Min drove to work early and saw Yang at Southside, whom she hadn't seen in a long time. Sister Min, I want to ask for help. He was still wearing a baseball cap and a mask. Come in. Min immediately looked around and saw that there were no suspicious paparazzi. She immediately let Yang into her office. Chapter 1148. Why are you here so early in the morning? I'm here to see you. Yang took off his mask and sat down on the chair next to Min's desk. Min quickly poured him a cup of warm water from a disposable paper cup and handed it to him. Speak slowly, what is it? Sister Min, please talk to President Qin for me. I'm almost fully recovered, so don't make me act like a flower vase every day. I want to act in a fight scene, did you know? A few days ago, the famous director Chen Ziqing came to Sister Yingzi and said that he wanted me to act in a tough guy movie. However, after Sister Yingzi discussed it with the company, she rejected him. Damn, I'm so mad. God knows how much I like Director Chen and how much I want to act in his movie. The box office is secondary, but I want to use this opportunity to change my style. I'm already so old, I can't keep acting like a little fresh meat. I need to become a man. Yang rambled on, and Min understood what he meant. He wanted to act in a fight scene, but his agent and company didn't allow it. It's for your own good. Min took a sip of water and smiled. I know it's for my own good, but I'm fine now. Recently, I've been going to meaningless events, and they won't even let me go to concerts. I'm so bored. If this continues, I'll go crazy. Sister, please help me. I know President Qin listens to you the most. You can help him out by telling him pillow talk. Pillow? You're brave. Min didn't know whether to laugh or cry. However, seeing how lively this kid was, he should be fine. After the liver transplant, he didn't show any signs of rejection. It seemed that the serum provided by his loved ones was good. It was stable and safe. I understand what you're thinking, but for safety reasons, you have to go through a full body checkup in our hospital first. Then, the attending doctor who operated on you has to promise me that you've really recovered. Otherwise, there's no need to talk about it. Let's not. It's too troublesome. Upon hearing Huamin's request, Ni Yang felt a headache coming on. It has to be done. Otherwise, there's no room for discussion, Huamin insisted. Okay, I'll do it. But you have to keep your word. If I really pass the criteria, you have to promise to persuade Chairman Qin to let me take on that movie, Ni Yang stated his condition. Deal. Huamin smiled. Ni Yang then turned to leave. Oh, right, Na Yang. What's the matter, Sister Huamin? Ni Yang turned around. Did Xiawan visit you? Her? She came to my neighborhood a few times with a broken thermos, saying that she wanted to bring me chicken soup. I smashed it and chased her away. She never came back. What a hypocrite. God knows what she's thinking when she tries so hard to please me. Maybe she wants to extort more money from me? Maybe she really cares about you, Huamin said tentatively. Cares about me? Stop fooling around, Sister Huamin. She's a woman who hasn't cared about me for more than 10 years. She's not even good enough to be my mother. How could she care about me? She only cares about the baby, not me. Ni Yang smiled bitterly and then turned to leave. Huamin felt that Ni Yang still had a deep misunderstanding about Xiawan. It seemed that if she didn't tell him the truth, he would never forgive her. It seemed like he would never be able to forgive Xiawan, but Huamin promised Xiawan that she wouldn't tell him, so she was conflicted. Huamin was busy all day and got off work at 5:30 p.m. When she passed by a KFC, she bought a hamburger and a Coke. After a quick bite, Huamin drove to the TV station. There were still 5 minutes until her appointment with the director at 7 p.m. Huamin had always been a punctual person. Mrs. Qin, you're here. Director Wang Shui walked over to greet her warmly. Chapter 1149. Huamin nodded and followed the director to the dressing room for her makeup. Huamin wasn't used to heavy makeup, so at her own insistence, she only put on light Korean-style nude makeup. She also didn't wear the exaggerated gold qipao that the director brought for her. Instead, she chose an elegant black and white qipao with floral prints. Because the studio was heated, she could wear short sleeves, just like in summer. Before she went on stage, the director repeatedly reminded her, Lady Qin, you don't have to say too much on stage. You just have to answer the questions with the contestants. It doesn't matter if you get eliminated, but we won't give you too difficult a question. I'm sure you'll be able to advance to the last round and receive the prize money. You mean, if I don't win, I won't get $1 million? Huamin finally realized the crux of the problem. But you didn't make it clear before? You said that as long as I came, I would be paid $1 million. Huamin's expression turned cold. Maybe I didn't make it clear. Don't mind me. But based on what I know about you, you definitely won't lose, right? You flattered me at the right time. Huamin sneered as she glanced at the director's face. I'm not flattering you, I'm just telling the truth. Lady Qin, you're so amazing, the director smiled and replied straightforwardly. Huamin hated people who went back on their words and took advantage of loopholes. If they didn't make things clear and only told you when you arrived, you would only receive the prize money if you won. If you lost, you wouldn't get a single cent. Huamin was truly annoyed by this type of deceit. She didn't care about the $1 million. She could easily take out $1 million to help those poor kids. But this was a matter of integrity, and integrity, according to Huamin's usual style of doing things, she could have rejected the live broadcast and left. But she held back. This was because she noticed that the perfume that the director was wearing was from a brand called VVO. Song Yisher was also a fan of this brand. Basically, every time he saw her, he would definitely smell this perfume on her. Some people might say that this was a coincidence. Most girls liked Chanel, but did that mean that all the girls who used Chanel knew each other? Huamin can tell you that VVO is an Italian brand and not a world-renowned one. It was only because this perfume was a newly established brand. It was very famous in Italy, and Song Yisher had been studying in Italy since she was young. So it wasn't strange for her to have that kind of perfume, but where did she buy it from? There were no counters in the country that sold it. Some people even said that it might have been because they had bought it from Italy. However, due to the rarity of the raw materials used for this perfume, only the Italian nobles could afford it. A bottle of perfume that cost more than 8,000 yuan. Was this how a television director would spend money? She and Zhu Lingling were both fans of perfume, so they knew a lot about it. Zhu Lingling had even specially asked someone to buy a bottle for her in Italy. It cost her 8,000 yuan and she was heartbroken for a month. Huamin didn't really like the smell because it was too strong. It was the kind of smell that was unforgettable. It was too ostentatious and didn't suit her. She preferred the faint smell of perfume or the refreshing smell of candy. Thinking of this, Huamin looked up and smiled at the female director. "Miss Wang, are you close to Mayor Song's daughter, Song Yisher?" Sure enough, after hearing this, the female director's expression changed slightly. Chapter 1150. What Song? Mayor Song's daughter? I don't know her at all. The director seemed a little flustered. Oh, then it's fine. Huamin smiled faintly, as if all the answers were already clear. Ever since she entered the neurology department, she had been studying patients' micro-expressions. For example, sometimes patients would unconsciously tug at the corner of their clothes when they were nervous, clench their fists when they were angry, and when they were lying, their eyes would drift away. When the director denied knowing Song Yisher, the answer was already very obvious. The strongest brain in history was a conspiracy from the beginning. Huamin suddenly remembered a slightly drunk Song Yisher at the entrance of the seafood restaurant a few days ago. She was clamoring to compete with her to see who was the genius. At that time, she thought it was just her drunken overreaction because she was too impulsive. It turned out that this woman was really digging a hole to prove that she was the genius and Huamin was the fool. It was so boring and childish, but she was actually so enthusiastic about it. Huamin also laughed, however, since she was already here, she wasn't afraid, let alone Song Yisher. With that woman's brain, even if there were 10 of her, she would still be able to beat her in minutes. Was intelligence something that could be improved? Could drinking a few boxes of sedative and brain-invigorating fluid make you smarter? Of course not. This was talent. This was an extra gift that God had given her. She didn't waste the twists and turns of her life of more than 20 years. Huamin had always thought that God was the fairest. When he gave you something beautiful, he would definitely make you pay an equivalent price in exchange. Caterpillars were ugly and crawled very slowly, but they were very safe. No one was willing to touch them. Butterflies were beautiful and flew very fast because many animals, including humans, were chasing after them. If they were a little slower, they would die instantly. This was nature's way of survival. Huamin didn't think that she was amazing just because she had a high IQ. On the contrary, she had been working hard. To be able to obtain what he had today was not luck, but the price of hard work. Therefore, no one's success was easy to achieve, and no one would always be lucky. After putting on her makeup, Huamin realized that there were still 800 people in the audience. The female host introduced her as follows. Ms. Huamin, 24 years old, the chief of neurology at Southside Recuperation Center, and the wife of GK's current president, Qin Chu. She was called a genius in high school. Let's see how amazing this genius is. This introduction seemed to be glorious, but it was actually to pave the way for what was to come. Huamin felt that Song Yisher probably wanted to see him make a fool of himself. When the time came, he would show everyone that he wasn't a genius. It was just a matter of bragging. Huamin smiled slightly and walked up the stage. He waved to everyone and then walked to the seat with his name on it and sat down. Other than Huamin, there were 11 other people who were also considered geniuses. There were both men and women. However, Song Yisher wasn't among these people. Huamin knew that these were all just appetizers. After the host's introduction, the competition began. Huamin didn't make herself look outstanding. Instead, she kept herself above average. Then, she continued to advance, and almost an hour passed. Finally, after Huamin entered the top 4, the competition began. She eliminated all her opponents until she was the only one left. Just then, the host said, "Mrs. Qin, the door of dreams is right in front of you." Once you open it, you will receive the $1 million reward you received today. However, before that, you still have one last obstacle to pass, and that is to compete with our final VIP guest. Are you willing to do that? With so many people watching, how could Huamin say no? Therefore, she smiled and nodded. Sure. Then, Song Yisher slowly walked in from another entrance. She was wearing a white evening gown and white crystal shoes. Her hair was slightly curly, and she was dressed like a goddess. For some reason, Huamin's first reaction when he saw her outfit was a white lotus. Chapter 1151. Next, I would like to introduce today's VIP guest, Miss Song Yisher. After speaking, the host continued, Miss Song Yisher grew up in Italy and was deeply influenced by the culture of China and Italy. She became the youngest Chinese artist in China and has a great influence in both Italy and China. She could have obtained Italian citizenship, but because of her patriotism, she ignored the advice of her art teachers and returned to China. Now, she has opened up the largest art school in the city and is an idol that all elementary and secondary school students want to emulate. Not only is Miss Song beautiful, but she is also very intelligent. She has become a model socialite. Next, let us give Miss Song a warm round of applause. After the host's lengthy introduction, Song Yisher walked to the center of the stage. She took the microphone and smiled. Hello everyone, I am Song Yisher. Good luck, Song Goddess. Song Goddess, we love you. Her fans began to crowd around her and cheer her on. Actually, I came here today to do charity. The production team said that if I came, they would donate $1 million to poor children. Just the thought of being able to help them makes me proud. Huamin was speechless. This woman stole all her lines. It is my honor to compete with Lady Qin today. As you all know, President Qin and I are good friends and have always had a good relationship. Now that we're on stage together, it really isn't a competition. We're here to do charity. So, if my friend, Lady Qin, doesn't perform well, please forgive her. Goddess, you're too kind. You're even speaking up for your friend. Goddess, why are you so nice? You're doing charity and giving face to your friend. Those who didn't know the truth were always the ones being toyed with in their eyes. Song Yisher suddenly became a perfect goddess. But how could there be a perfect person in this world? They were just disguising their own weaknesses and exposing their own strengths. Miss Song, don't worry about me. I don't think I'll lose, so there's no issue of being forgiven, Huamin interrupted. I'm just making an example. After all, this is a live broadcast. If there are really some difficult questions and you can't answer them, wouldn't it be awkward? After all, my dear, your education level isn't that high, and you've never studied abroad, so many questions are still very difficult for you. Song Yisher looked at Huamin and smiled like a flower. The audience really thought that they were good friends. Studying abroad has nothing to do with IQ. It can only be said that it's about experience. Today's show is about the strongest brain in history. Isn't it about IQ? So what do I have to worry about? Huamin didn't want to be outdone either. Every time Song Yisher said something, she followed suit. The host saw that they couldn't go on like this. He was afraid that something would go wrong. He immediately tried to smooth things over and said, Miss Song Yisher, please take your seat. The ultimate competition is about to begin. Song Yisher nodded and smiled as she sat down in the chair across from Huamin. The two of them were separated by a distance of 5 meters. They could clearly see each other's expressions. Song Yisher had a gloating expression on her face, as if she thought that she was going to win. Huamin also knew that she definitely came prepared. The questions that she was going to ask were all answers that Song Yisher knew beforehand. Otherwise, she wouldn't be so arrogant. So, are the two of you ready? The host asked in a serious tone. I'm okay. Song Yisher smiled sweetly. Huamin didn't say anything, but he made an okay sign with his hand. Okay, then we'll officially begin. Please pay attention to the questions, then press the button to answer. Chapter 1152. Life is about exercise. Who said this? As soon as the host finished speaking, Song Yisher immediately answered, Voltaire. The best time to eat fruit, between meals, Song Yishur answered again. Which dynasty did the 4-sheep cube come from? Shang. Song Yishur answered immediately again. Wow, that's amazing. Miss Song got all of them right. After the host finished speaking, the audience burst into applause. Then, the host purposely looked at Huamin and smiled. Mrs. Qin, you have to do your best too. Huamin looked at Song Yishur and thought it was funny. She looked at the answers in advance and then came up to show off. What was the point of that? Huamin looked at the host and replied thoughtfully, I'm not in a hurry. I'll let Miss Song perform. Next, please listen to the question. Which publishing house was the first to film in China? It was a business publishing house, Song Yishur answered again. For the first time in human history, Marx created historical materialism, Song Yishur said proudly and confidently. Huamin didn't answer a single question. From the looks of it, she didn't seem like she was going to answer a single question. Not only does human consciousness reflect the objective world, but it also creates the objective world. This is, the host asked. Dialectical materialism, Song Yishur answered loudly. All right. The host announced with a smile. Another thunderous roar came from the audience. Mrs. Qin, is your answering machine broken? The host asked mockingly. Immediately, the audience below the stage laughed along with him. Some people even whispered, what kind of genius girl is she? She's just a... She didn't even answer a single question. Song Goddess answered all of them. In my opinion, the Song Goddess is the real genius. She must be a fake genius. If President Qin finds out that he married a fake genius, he'll probably cry himself to death. Below the stage, everyone was talking at once, but on the stage, the two armies were still facing off against each other. Song Yishur's face was filled with pride. According to her plan, this was how it should be. My responder isn't broken, Huamin said with a smile. Then why didn't you answer any of the questions? Do you not know how to do it? The host asked with ulterior motives. No, it's just that it's too simple. I don't think it's necessary to answer it. It's just child's play. Huamin smiled. As soon as he finished speaking, Song Yishur's expression changed slightly. This was a blatant insult to her. Wow, this Huamin really knows how to boast. Such a difficult question and he said it was too easy. How pretentious. Maybe Lady Qin is the real deal. Let's wait and see. A couple in the audience murmured softly. Because the show was live, a lot of people were watching their performance on TV. Qin Chu turned on the TV as he worked. Whenever Huamin's camera was on, he would look up and gently look at her. Sir, what's wrong with a young lady? Why isn't she answering? She's so impatient. She's holding back. Qin Chu knew Huamin too well. Therefore, he wasn't worried that his wife would lose. Inside the president's office at Imperial Star headquarters, Su was still working overtime. President Su, there's an executive meeting in 5 minutes, his female secretary whispered. Cancel it. Are we really canceling? The female secretary was a little dumbfounded. She thought to herself, then what's the point of working so late? Su couldn't take his eyes off the live broadcast. He waved his hand and sent the female secretary away. Half an hour ago, Tang Chuan's lackey called and told him to turn on the TV and watch the local live broadcast. However, he suspiciously turned on the TV. As expected, Huamin was on the live broadcast. She even became Song Yishur's enemy and had an ultimate battle with her. Su Yu's heart was in his mouth. Because it was a live broadcast, so many people were watching. He was really afraid that she would lose to Song Yishur. Chapter 1153. Jiang Shaowei was also extremely anxious at home. If it weren't for Wei Liao stopping her, she would have gone to the event as a group of friends and family. Slightly, calm down, okay? Huamin will definitely win. Wei Liao tried his best to persuade her. What do you know? Can't you tell? Bitch Song obviously knows the answer. That's why she answered so quickly. Huamin was set up. Do you know that? But I believe in Huamin's inhuman IQ. Even if he was set up, he would still be able to turn the situation around. Song Yishur is definitely no match for him. Huh? What you said makes sense. After Jiang Xiaowei calmed down, she analyzed what Wei Liao said and realized that he was right. What kind of person was Huamin? He was someone who could deal with anything calmly without batting an eyelid. Song Yisher wouldn't put herself in an awkward position with this little trick, right? So, don't worry, let's not go out, okay? The temperature outside is minus 20 degrees Celsius. You're pregnant now, so don't torture yourself, my dear. The entire Wei family was paying close attention to Jiang Xiaowei's pregnancy. Wei Liao was also afraid that something would go wrong. Plus, with Jiang Xiaowei's current condition, what could she do if she went to the TV station? How could she interrupt a live broadcast? Wouldn't that be useless? After thinking about it, Wei Liao's words made sense, so Jiang Xiaowei finally calmed down. Wei Liao waved his hand and dismissed the maids. Then he carried Jiang Xiaowei and continued watching the live broadcast. His excitement was on par with watching the Olympics. Zhu Lingling was on the plane, so she couldn't watch the live broadcast. However, it would be a shame if she missed such an exciting scene. Therefore, Gao Ran cleverly turned on the recording function and planned to show it to Zhu Lingling as soon as she got off the plane. Just as Wei Liao thought, Gao Ran was very confident in Huamin. He was confident that a woman as strong as Huamian wouldn't be defeated by Song Yisher. And his cousin is on TV. Over at Sky Blessing Court, Yang Xiaoping was eating a banana as she pointed at the TV. Yang's? S's? Why didn't you tell me? I almost missed it. What's this show? I think it's a competition to see who's smarter is smarter. Yang's analyzed the situation's words. So, Yang Meirong and her niece began to watch TV in fear. Huamin originally thought that it was just a show, so she didn't take it seriously. However, she didn't expect so many people to pay attention to her during the live broadcast. Song Yisher was even more vicious. She worked with the director and host to ruin Huamin's reputation. She couldn't stay calm anymore and was ready to fight back. Mrs. Qin, you're right. Our questions aren't simple. You can't slander our show just because you can't answer them. The host was obviously using Song Yisher to step on Huamin. How about this? Since this is a live broadcast, everyone knows that it's not fake. Why don't we do something more fun? How? Song Yisher looked at Huamin cautiously. We'll ask each other questions live. You give me a question, and I'll give you a question. How about this? We'll each give you 10 questions. Song Yisher was a little scared at this moment. If this wasn't arranged by the show, Huamin's questions would be very difficult. Even if she thought that she was smart, she might not be able to win. Huamin put Song Yisher in a difficult spot. Chapter 1154. Seeing that Song Yisher was hesitating, Huamin continued, Of course, this is just my suggestion. If Miss Song doesn't want to play, it's fine. I can let you win or lose to you. Anyway, the questions given by the production team are quite simple. Huamin was implying that even if she won, it would be unfair because the questions were too simple. This time, Song Yisher couldn't sit still anymore. I accept your suggestion. Miss Song. The host seemed to want to stop Song Yisher from accepting the challenge. It's fine, just do as she says. In front of so many people, Song Yisher still cared about her face. So, she was easily goaded into action by Huamin. If the two of them asked each other, the possibility of them winning was very high. After all, who knew how far it would go? There was no way to predict the outcome. Backstage, director Wang Shui's expression changed slightly. Miss Song has fallen into a trap. She's probably going to lose. Not following the program team's planned flow was a form of protection in itself. Huamin was the real deal, while Song Yisher was the one who was packaged. Accepting the challenge didn't benefit Song Yisher at all. After accepting the challenge, Song Yisher actually felt a little regretful, but there was nothing she could do. There were so many people watching the live broadcast. Even if she died, she had to bite the bullet. Song Goddess, you can do it, we believe in you. A fan raised a sign and shouted, Beautiful and kind, Xianxia is the strongest. Beautiful and kind, Xianxia is the strongest. There were even brainless fans shouting funny slogans at this juncture. Song Yisher was so angry that she cursed these idiots in her heart. Huamin, on the other hand, had a faint smile on his face. Xin Chu, who was sitting in front of the TV, gently looked at Huamin's face. He liked to see Huamin smile like this. Calm, confident, and calm, Xin Chu stared at the TV as if he couldn't get enough of it. A young lady, you can do it. A young lady, you can do it. Yang jokingly shouted slogans on the side. At the same time, in a rented apartment in the suburbs, Ning Ziyuan was curled up on the bed and looked at the woman on the TV. His heart was filled with mixed feelings. Once, this girl was so close to him, but later, because he wanted to marry into a rich family's family, he hooked up with Wu Xiaoxue and then had an affair with He-Man. He had missed his best chance with Huamian. He thought that if Qin Chu hadn't come back, they wouldn't have been separated. In fact, Hua's character, in the end, Huamin wouldn't end Ning Ziyuan. That was because there was a problem with his character. Which normal university student would go out to have sex with prostitutes during school? Even if his girlfriend didn't sleep with him, he couldn't find an excuse for his disgusting behavior. Today, Huamin had become an unreachable figure living at the top of the circle. She followed Qin Chu to attend all kinds of ceremonies and banquets. When she was working, she was also the most outstanding young doctor. Ning Ziyuan, on the other hand, abandoned himself to work in a small private hospital. He swindled patients and earned some money. Then he gambled with He-Man. He lost all his money, then earned some money, then gambled again. To him, there was no hope in life. And he brought all of this upon himself. What? Are you looking at your ex again? Stop looking, she's a rich girl now. You're miles away from her. Don't think about her. Even if you kneel down and beg her, she won't even look at a drowning dog like you. He-Man opened the door and came in. She took off her suspenders and sneered at him with her upper body naked. It's none of your business. Shut up. Ning Ziyuan glared at He-Man unhappily. On the TV, the host finally agreed to Huamin's request and allowed them to ask each other questions. Then, Miss Song, please ask the question first. The host was very biased and gave the opportunity to ask the first question to Song Yisher. If Song Yisher's question was difficult enough and Huamin couldn't answer, then Huamin would be an unpresentable person. Chapter 1155. Song Yisher glared at Huamin with hatred and slowly opened her mouth. What's the ratio of grain to grain? 1 to 2, Huamin answered. Correct, the host announced as he held his forehead. Next, it's Mrs. Qin's turn to ask a question. In honor of the Olympics, I'll ask you a simple question related to the Olympics. Who is the champion of the men's singles table tennis at the 2008 Olympics? Huamin asked with a smile. This question was actually very simple, even the audience knew the answer. However, Song Yisher clearly hesitated for a moment. She claimed to be patriotic and had a China complex, but she didn't even consider the most basic question. The amazing thing was, after 3 seconds of consideration, she answered, Zhang Jike. As soon as she finished speaking, the entire audience gasped. No one expected her to answer such a simple question incorrectly. Huamin smiled. 8 years ago, it wasn't Zhang Jike. The champion was Ma Lin. Even the host couldn't stand it anymore and reminded her, Miss Song, Ma Lin and Wang Hao were in the singles final. They were both outstanding players in our country, and Ma Lin won in the end. I remembered wrong. Song Yisher tried to find an excuse for herself without batting an eyelid. Next, it's Miss Song's turn to ask a question. Song Yisher, when was the computer invented? Huamin, 1946. Correct, the host confirmed. Huamin, what was the earliest term for a groom? Song Yisher, a man who got married. Wrong, the earliest term for a groom was for a new scholar, the host corrected her. Song Yisher coughed softly, feeling a little awkward. The scene was also extremely silent. Song Yisher, does a fish have a heart? Huamin, yes. Correct. Huamin, do newborns have tears? Song Yisher, yes. Wrong. When a newborn baby cries, there are no tears. In front of the TV, Yang laughed and said, I feel embarrassed for Miss Song. A young lady is too awesome. Song Yisher, If you were to boil a pot of water on a spaceship, how long would it take to boil it? Huamin, it will never boil. Huamin asked, how many kilometers is a light year? Song Yisher, 100,000 kilometers. Wrong, it's 460 billion kilometers. Huamin corrected. Mrs. Qin is right. The host couldn't bear to look at Song Yisher and felt slightly embarrassed. The audience fell silent once again. 4 questions had already passed, but Song Yisher hadn't answered a single question correctly, while Huamin had answered all of them correctly. This was indeed a little embarrassing. Song Yisher, who invented the world's first telescope? Huamin, Galileo. Huamin, which year was penicillin invented? Song Yisher, 1 to 1966. Wrong, it was 1928. Huamin corrected her. That doesn't count. Medical questions are your forte. You did it on purpose. Song Yisher was a little angry from embarrassment. Huamin smiled but didn't say anything. Song Yisher, famous tennis player, Schiavone, which country is he from? Huamin, Italy. Song Yisher was slightly surprised. Huamin asked her back. In the 4 books and 5 classics, the 4 books refer to the Analects of Confucius, the Great Learning, and the Doctrine of the Mean. Which other books are there? Song Yisher looked like she was in a dilemma. The Tao Te Ching, she replied. Some of the straight-A students in the audience laughed out loud. Some people couldn't help but wonder if Miss Song really liked Chinese classical literature. Shouldn't a master of Chinese painting learn about ancient history? Miss Song, the real answer is Mencius. The host couldn't stand it anymore and reminded her. I know, I just remembered wrong. Her reason was a little far-fetched. Song Yisher, who was the original singer of the song, Every Time Bobby on More Time? Huamin, Britney Spears. Huamin immediately asked, who won the 1993 Nobel Prize for? Song Yisher was a little embarrassed and didn't know what to say. Even I know such a simple question, but Miss Song doesn't know. A girl in the audience muttered to herself. Miss Song, you have one chance to ask the audience for help, the host kindly reminded her. Chapter 1156. Song Yisher bit her lip and finally said slowly, I'll ask the audience for help. Then she pointed at a chubby girl. The girl was wearing glasses and looked very cute. She stood up and answered in a loud voice. It's South Africa's greatest leader, Mandela. The host nodded in satisfaction. Correct. Up until now, both sides had asked a total of 7 questions. Huamin got all of them correct, and Song Yisher's only correct answer was when she asked the audience for help. It was a bit ironic. More and more voices of doubt began to appear. Didn't Miss Song study abroad for many years and have a lot of knowledge? How come she doesn't even know the basics? Yeah, I think it's strange too. She seems to know a lot, but Mrs. Qin seems to know everything. What a surprise. Yeah, there's no way to cheat in live interrogations like this. It's a test of one's IQ. Lady Qin is so smart. She's so young and never studied abroad. I heard that her university isn't a famous one, but she knows a lot. Just then, Song Yisher asked angrily, which movie did Nicole Kidman win the 2003 Academy Award for Best Actress? Before Huamin could answer, Jiang Xiaowei, who was sitting in front of the TV, was furious. Fuck, this bitch Song is so shameless. She said that Huamin was bullying her when he asked her about her medical knowledge. Now, she knows that Mian never studied abroad, but she keeps asking about English songs and movies. She's such a scheming bitch, a bitch. Jiang Xiaowei was so angry that she cursed Song Yisher for being despicable and shameless. To her surprise, Huamin calmly answered, that movie is The Hours. Correct, the host confirmed. Huamin continued to ask, in Ang Lee's movie, The Teenage Fantasy Drifting, what species was the tiger that the male lead drifted on the sea for 227 days? Siberian tiger. Song Yisher stuttered. Huamin was amused by Song Yisher. Sister, that's a Bengal tiger. Thank you. The crowd laughed as well. This made Song Yisher very embarrassed. Gao Ran held a can of Coke and said as he watched TV, Mayor Song's daughter is too fucking stupid. She has a good life ahead of her. Why is she looking for trouble? Are you a masochist? Do you feel uncomfortable if you don't get tortured for a day? Song Yixia then asked, which of Garcia Marquez's works is hailed as a masterpiece that reproduces the historical and social landscape of Latin America? Huamin, 100 Years of Loneliness. Huamin immediately asked, which famous Russian author wrote The Hunter's Notebook and The Aristocrat's Home? Leo Tolstoy. Song Yixia replied without hesitation. Leo Tolstoy's works are Anna Karenina and War and Peace. Did you mix them up, Miss Song? The correct answer should be Turgenev. That's his famous work. Huamin looked at Song Yixia speechlessly. If he knew that she was so weak, he wouldn't have wasted his time talking to her. After Huamin finished speaking, everyone roared with laughter again. I think Miss Song is so embarrassed, she was completely destroyed by Mrs. Qin. Are they really good friends? They don't look like it. A girl in the audience quietly asked. Who knows? But now I know that the so-called top student who came back from abroad is just Essa. She's not even as good as our local genius, Mrs. Qin, the boy next to her laughed. Amidst the mocking laughter, Song Yixia angrily threw out her last question. In the 1930s, when the American economic crisis broke out, who was President Roosevelt's predecessor? Such an unpopular question really put people in a difficult position. No one in the audience knew, and some busybodies even took out their phones to search Baidu. Huamin immediately answered, Hoover. Correct. The host was about to praise Huamin. Since Song Yixia was so despicable and asked such an unpopular question, Huamin decided not to be merciful. He would torture her until the end. Therefore, he racked his brains and asked the last question. In Xn Chiji's Bodhisattva's Book of Bodhisattva, what's the next sentence? Chapter 1157. I want to ask the audience for help. Song Yixia said awkwardly. After the host heard this, he felt even more awkward. Miss Song, you only have one chance to ask for help, and you've already used it. I don't know. Song Yixia didn't know much about ancient Chinese poetry. If it was a popular poem, then it was fine. For example, hoeing the grain at noon, or bright moonlight on the bed. She didn't know anything about these unpopular poems. The correct answer is, after all, I'm going east. After Huamin finished speaking, the audience once again erupted in applause. Huamin answered all 10 questions correctly. Song Yixia only answered one question correctly, and it was to ask the audience for help. When she wanted to ask the audience for help again, she was told that she only had one chance. This was fucking awkward. This time, Song Yixia was truly beaten to a pulp. In Gao Rant's words, Miss Song was too stubborn. Why did she have to compete with Huamin in terms of brains? Wasn't she digging her own grave? Huamin was never someone who liked to cause trouble, but if others wanted to bully her, there was no way she would let them. This time, she beat Song Yixia at her own game. Song Yixia was humiliated in front of the entire nation on the live broadcast. She was utterly humiliated. Huamin, on the other hand, proved that she was witty and humorous. She was able to answer all sorts of weird questions fluently. She also reacted extremely quickly. This was the key. Next, let us congratulate Mrs. Qin for winning $1 million. Mrs. Qin, are you willing to donate to the needy? I am. Huamin nodded her head and expressed her attitude on the spot. Actually, the production team wouldn't be so generous as to donate any money. Song Yixia was the one who paid the $1 million out of her own pocket. She purposely created this show to embarrass Huamin, but she didn't expect that she would be the one to fall into her own trap. In Jiang Shaowei's words, Bitch Song's IQ was down and needed to be recharged. In Zhu Lingling's words, anyone who dared to challenge Mion's intelligence basically had a bad ending. In front of the TV, Su Yu finally breathed a sigh of relief. He put down the pen in his hand, got up, and walked out of the office. Huamin, this damned girl, really did not let people live in peace. Even if she did not live by his side, he could always see her every move. It was as if she had become a part of his life. When they went backstage to remove their makeup, Huamin and Song Yixia entered 2 separate dressing rooms. Miss Song, Wang Shui had just said these 3 words and didn't have time to finish her sentence. Song Yisher slapped Wang Shui across the face, making her see stars. Trash. What was the plan? How did it end up like this? I'm so embarrassed today. If my dad saw this, he would be furious. Song Yisher cursed angrily, blaming all the mistakes on Wang Shui. She thought that this plan would definitely work and even gave this woman a bottle of VVO perfume. Now, it seemed that not only was her plan ruined, she was the one who embarrassed herself in the end. How could Song Yisher take this lying down? Miss Song, before, we said that we would ask the questions according to our own questions. You memorized the answers before, so we thought that it would be foolproof. Who would have thought that you would agree to a live Q&A with Mrs. Chin at the last minute? We couldn't control that kind of situation. Plus, this is a live show, not a recorded show. We can't even edit it. Wang Shui also looked innocent and wronged. She did try her best, okay? However, Song Yisher was tricked by Huamin at the last minute, so how could she be blamed? She could only blame Song Yisher for being stupid, okay? So you're saying that you're blaming me? Song Yisher glared at Wang Shui and questioned. Chapter 1158. Upon seeing Song Yisher flip out, the director immediately waved her hand. No, I didn't mean that. I just wanted to say that this was an accident. It wasn't under our control. Miss Song, don't be too angry. Of course, I was laughed at by so many people. How can I not be angry? I knew you were a useless piece of trash. I think you guys don't want to work anymore. Miss Song, please don't be angry. We'll make sure nothing goes wrong in the future. Do you think there'll be a future? Song Yisher raged in the dressing room, smashing everything in the room to pieces. Huamin was in another dressing room removing her makeup when she heard the commotion. What's that sound from next door? Huamin asked. I think Miss Song is angry. What's there to be angry about? You should read more books when you have time. Huamin smiled. Wasn't beating Song Yisher a piece of cake? It was so easy that she didn't even want to do it. Mrs. Chin, can I have your autograph? The makeup artist held up a small notebook and looked at her with admiration. Huamin felt a little awkward. I admire you so much. I used to be in second high, but I wasn't good at my studies. My family paid for me to go there. Haha, I didn't get into a good university, so I went to a vocational school to study makeup. But I know you're the pride of second high. You were so strong on stage just now. I admire you so much. The makeup artist said a lot, making Huamin feel a little embarrassed. She picked up a small notebook and signed her autograph. After removing her makeup, she changed into her down jacket and walked out. As soon as she walked out, she saw the Maybach parked in the most obvious spot. Chin Chu saw Huamin come out, so he opened the car door and walked out with a cup of hot milk tea in his hand. Honey, thank you. Chin Chu walked over and handed her the hot milk tea. Thank you, Mr. Chin. Huamin took the milk tea, his heart filled with warmth. She couldn't help but give Chin Chu a quick kiss on the cheek. She swore that she really didn't want to show off her love on purpose, but Song Yisher happened to see this scene. She followed Huamin out. When she saw Chin Chu walking over, she wanted to greet him. In the end, the young couple was drinking milk tea and kissing at the door. Her face instantly darkened. Did you drive from home? Huamin didn't expect Chin Chu to drive to pick her up. I happened to be working overtime, so I came to pick you up right after work. Honey, if you spoil me like this, I won't be able to leave you. Huamin smiled sweetly. That's my ultimate goal. Chin Chu smirked. Mr. Chin is so evil, you even set your own wife up. The young couple flirted at the door, but Song Yisher avoided them and walked straight to her car. After what happened today, she didn't want to stay any longer. To her surprise, Huamin suddenly turned around and called out to her, Miss Song. Song Yisher turned around, not knowing what Huamin wanted her to do. I have a few books of 300 poems from the Tang and Song dynasties at home. Do you want to read them? I can send them to you tomorrow. No, thank you. Song Yisher's face darkened, and she turned around to leave. After Song Yisher drove away, Chin Chu lovingly reached out and scratched her little nose. I didn't know my wife could be so good at torturing people. Ha, what? Do you feel bad for her? Yeah, I feel bad for you. Why didn't you do something earlier? Why did you let her be so arrogant for so long? Chin Chu held her hand as he opened the car door for Huamin to sit in the passenger seat. Honey, I drove here myself, Huamin immediately reminded him. It's okay, I'll get someone from the company to drive you back. Then, Chin Chu drove Huamin out of the TV station. What do you want to eat? I'll celebrate with you, Chin Chu asked gently. Celebrate me torturing Song Yisher? Huamin asked proudly. What else? Honey, is it okay for you to be so direct? Miss Song will cry. As the two chatted, Huamin's phone suddenly rang. Mian, come back right now. Yang Meirong hung up before Huamin could say anything. Chapter 1159. It's over. We won't be able to eat supper or celebrate. What's wrong? Chin Chu tilted his head and looked at Huamin. My mom called and asked me to go home right now. I'm guessing she saw me on TV and is going to scold me again. It's okay, I'll go with you. Then, Chin Chu drove straight to Sky Blessing Court, Huamin's mother's home. Sister Huamin, you're here? Yang Xiaoping opened the door. Her eyes lit up when she saw Chin Chu behind Huamin. Brother-in-law, you're here too? She greeted him. Chin Chu nodded slightly but didn't say anything. Chin Chu was a man of few words. Other than Huamin, he rarely spoke more than 3 sentences to anyone else. Of course, work was an exception. Therefore, Assistant Yang always thought that he was very lucky. His boss was a big shot, and other than a young lady, he was the one who talked the most. This was also a form of favor in disguise. Mom, you were looking for me? Huamin walked in, took off the scarf around her neck, and took off her down jacket. The winter wind was bone-chilling, but it was spring inside the house. Yang Meirong loved potted plants, so the living room on the first floor was filled with green plants. Devil's ivy, tiger orchid, fortune tree, fugui bamboo, and smooth sailing. After taking off her down jacket, Huamin picked up the watering can and went to water the fortune tree. Yang Meirong seemed to be cooking in the kitchen, so she immediately walked out when she heard her daughter's voice. Mian, I just saw you on TV. Mchem, that was a live broadcast. Did I look good on camera, Mom? Huamin asked with a cute smile. I told you to keep a low profile, didn't I? Don't be so ostentatious, fame scares people. Yang Meirong tried to persuade her daughter. Mom, it's okay, I only did it once, and it was an entertainment program, ha. Huamin listened to his mother's nagging as he watered the flowers. In order to prove that he was fine, he had to play along and smile foolishly to reassure his mother. Chin Chu is here too? Yang Meirong finally noticed Chin Chu, who was sitting on the sofa. Auntie. Chin Chu nodded and greeted her. You're still calling me Auntie? Mr. Chin, are you sleepwalking? Huamin turned around and asked. Chin Chu immediately understood. Then he shyly looked at Yang Meirong and called out, Yang Meirong was embarrassed. She was used to Chin Chu calling her auntie, so it was quite unexpected for him to call her mom. Mom? Why are you still standing there like an idiot? Hurry up and pay the money, Huamin joked. Right. Look at me, I forgot. Then Yang Meirong slapped her forehead and ran up to the second floor. I was kidding, she really did go. Huamin put down the watering can and stood up. Sister Huamin, have you and my brother-in-law had dinner yet? Yang Xiaoping suddenly asked. Not yet. Is there food at home? Yes, my auntie and I made pig trotter soup. It's really good, I'll get you guys a bowl. Okay. Huamin nodded, but she noticed that Yang Xiaoping said she made pig trotter soup with her auntie. However, Huamin knew that it was her mother's specialty and she had never learned it. How did Yang Xiaoping learn it? Why did she have to emphasize that she made it with her mother? Was she trying to show how virtuous she was? She knew everything. Soon, Yang Meirong rushed downstairs with a big red envelope in her hand. It was really big. She carefully handed it to Chin Chu. Andy. Mom, it's okay. Chin Chu was too old to take money from an elder. Take it, it's a little something from me. Mom's giving it to you, so take it. Huamin smiled. Chu finally took the red envelope. It was really heavy. Hey, rich mom, let me guess how much you put in it. It's 10,001 yuan, right? Huamin walked up behind Yang Meirong and asked coyly as he wrapped his arms around her neck. Chapter 1160. Yang Meirong was obviously a little embarrassed, so she smiled but didn't say anything. Huamin grabbed Chu's red envelope and opened it. Whoa, this is more than 10,000 yuan, right? Huamin asked. I put 20,000 yuan inside. Yang Meirong smiled. Then she continued, Chu, take it. I know you're rich, but it's yours. This is my personal savings, and I only managed to save it because Mian always gives me her salary. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to give you so much. But I know this money is nothing to you, so it's just a token of my appreciation. Chu, I hope you don't think it's too little. I won't, thank you, ma. Chu was a little touched. It was just a token of her appreciation. He didn't care how much it was. Even if Yang Meirong gave him 2,000 yuan, he wouldn't think it was too little. You're so rich, you've never given me so much in all these years. Huamin hugged his mother and continued to act like a spoiled child. I'll ask my mom to get you one too, Chu said. I'm happy enough that she won't make trouble for me. Huamin immediately waved his hands. How can you say that? Oh, right, there's still some pork trotter soup in the kitchen. Then Yang Meirong immediately rushed into the kitchen. Mom, let me help you. Huamin was in a good mood, which was rare for him, so he followed her. Suddenly, only Chu and Yang Xiaoping were left in the living room. Chu took out his phone and opened his email. He looked at the email from his company with a serious expression on his face. Yang Xiaoping was wearing emerald green pajamas, which Yang Meirong bought for her at the mall. She brushed her hair behind her ear and said softly, Brother-in-law, have some fruit. No thanks. Chu didn't even look up. Brother-in-law, I heard that your company is the biggest corporation in the city. Your office building is really tall, right? When my aunt told me about it, I thought that you must be really good to be able to run such a big company. Oh right, does your company need people? I want to go to work. I don't want to go back to farming. It's too tiring and the harvest isn't good. The city is better, I like it here. I want to stay. Therefore, Yang Xiaoping told Chu a bunch of random things. Before Chu could speak, she added, Brother-in-law, I'm a good cook and I clean the floor. How about I clean your office? You don't have to pay me, you pay me 1,000 yuan a month, 1,000 yuan a month, S's didn't know what she was what, slightly he's S, when he, teat, S, he. What are you guys talking about? Huamin smiled as he walked over and sat down between Yang Xiaoping and Chu. Yang Xiaoping had no choice but to lean back a little. I told brother-in-law to find me a job. I want to work at brother-in-law's company, or else I'll be bored all day. Plus, I can't spend my aunt's money all the time, I'll feel bad if I keep doing this. Even though my aunt loves me and buys me everything, I can't be a leech, right? Yang Xiaoping thought she was being reasonable. Huamin listened to Yang Xiaoping's ramblings as he picked up a grape from the fruit platter on the coffee table and ate it. Then, he wiped his hands and said quietly, About that, I've actually already found a job for you. Really? What job did you find? Yang Xiaoping was a little confused. Why didn't her cousin mention it to her? Chapter 1161. Just stay at home and accompany my mother. Cook for her, clean the floor, tidy up the house and chat with her. My mother is old, and she can't afford to tidy up a 200 square meter duplex. I was planning to find her a part-time worker, but it's good that you're here. Aren't you very capable? I'm sure you can clean it up. Sister Huamin, but I... Yang Xiaoping didn't finish her sentence. Huamin continued, After Jixin left the country, my mom's been very lonely. Some of her neighbors live far away, so she can't see them every day. She's bored all by herself. When you're not working, can you go out with her? Go grocery shopping, take walks, or square dancing? My mom says you're the best dancer, and little Apple is really good at it. Sister Huamin, Yang Xiaoping seemed to have something to say, but Huamin didn't give her a chance to speak. So, he interrupted her again, I'll cover your room and board, and 3,000 yuan a month. That's a lot. You're my cousin, so I won't mistreat you. I'll give you 4 days off every month. You can go out on your own, or come home when you miss home. Then, Huamin turned around, took out his phone, and opened his WeChat friend circle to ask Qin Chu. Honey, look, there's a new barbecue restaurant here. It seems like it's pretty popular. Let's go try it out some other day. Qin Chu nodded. In the end, Yang Xiaoping didn't get a chance to say anything. Huamin made her angry. The truth was she didn't care about the salary. She just wanted to work somewhere close to Qin Chu. She realized that if she stayed at Sky Blessing Court, she would rarely see Qin Chu. She wanted to find a chance to work at GK, but Huamin didn't give her the chance. To be honest, Huamin saw through her right away. There was no way Yang Xiaoping would cause trouble for her and Qin Chu. Although Yang Xiaoping was from the countryside, she was not simple at all. Perhaps it was because communication was too convenient nowadays, and the internet was everywhere. Yang Xiaoping often used her phone to surf the internet, play QQ, and WeChat when she was at home. Therefore, she wasn't an ignorant village girl. She knew that Qin Chu was the president of GK, and she also knew the rules of survival in this city. That was to hook up with a rich man, and there was a rich man in front of him, and his brother-in-law was the kind that was especially good-looking. As long as she could be with her brother-in-law, she was willing to do it even if he didn't give her money. Yang Xiaoping sat on the other end of the sofa with a displeased look on her face. At this time, Yang Merong brought out a bowl of pork trotter soup and egg pancakes for everyone. Huamin ate with relish. Suddenly, she missed Jixin. In the heat of the moment, he sent her a video call. It was 9:30 a.m. in Beijing and 1:30 a.m. where Jixin was. The phone rang for a long time before Jixin finally picked it up in a daze. He glanced at the caller ID and said half-threateningly, Huamian, how dare you video call me in the middle of the night? Lazy bum, get up and eat some pork trotter soup. Huamin pointed his phone at a bowl of pork trotter soup. Jing Jixin's sleepiness immediately disappeared. What the hell, you're trying to poison me in the middle of the night? Are you trying to make me hate you? Jing Jixin almost drooled as he looked at the pork trotter soup. Jixin, you seem to have lost weight. Yang Merong looked at her son, heartbroken. I may have lost weight, but I've grown a lot taller. I exercise with my classmates every day, like running and playing basketball. Every day is fulfilling and I eat a lot too. Don't worry. Huh? Is that my brother-in-law? Jing Jixin's sharp eyes asked. Yep. Then, Huamin pointed the camera at Qin Chu. Brother-in-law, you've become even more handsome. Is that enough for your living expenses? If it's not enough, I'll ask the finance department to transfer it to you tomorrow. Qin Chu looked at Jixin with love in his eyes. Mr. Qin, you're so realistic. If someone says you're handsome, you'll immediately transfer them your living expenses. Huamin looked at Qin Chu, amused. Then he looked at Jixin, who was on the other side of the phone. You're even more realistic. Is it really okay for you to suck up to someone as soon as you get on the phone? Sucking up to someone takes a lot of skill, do you understand? If you suck up to someone, you'll be done for. Then, Jixin glanced at a girl not far behind Huamin and asked, Sis, who's that behind you? Did you hire a nanny? Jixin's unintentional words made Yang Xiaoping feel even more awkward. Chapter 1162. Yang Merong was the first to explain. She took out the phone and said to Jixin, Jixin, that's your uncle's daughter, Xiaoping. Jixin didn't know who she was, and he didn't remember who she was. Your uncle's daughter. Oh, the one from Nanhua village. Jixin's tone was obviously not friendly. Xiaoping, come say hi to Jixin. Yang Merong wanted them to get closer to each other. After all, they were cousins. Yang Xiaoping walked over shyly and waved her hand. Hi, Ji. She and Jixin were about the same age, so they didn't call each other brother and sister. Jixin didn't like her, So he ignored her and said to Huamin, who was standing behind her, "Sis, did you miss me?" "Duh, what do you think? Now that you have a brother-in-law, you've forgotten about your little brother? Hey, you little bastard, you look so cute when you're jealous." "Sis, you're a chief doctor now. Is it really okay to call me a little bastard? Aren't you afraid of losing fans?" Jixin was amused by Huamin. "Okay, I'm not going to waste time with you. We're going to eat now. Here's the thick pork trotter soup, it tastes like mom." Before hanging up, Huamin didn't forget to provoke Jixin. As expected, Jixin was drooling all over the floor. "Huamian, if you come to New Zealand right now, I promise I won't beat you to death." After hanging up, Huamin continued eating the pork trotter soup, and Qin Chu ate some as well. Yang Merong's cooking skills had improved over the years, and there were a few classic dishes that Huamin and Jixin couldn't stop thinking about. After they finished eating, they looked at the time. It was already past 10 p.m. Huamin and Qin Chu stood up. Just as they were about to get into the car, Yang Merong suddenly said, "Mian, wait a second, I need to talk to you." Huamin nodded and stayed where he was while Qin Chu got into the car first. Yang Merong turned around and looked at Xiaoping, who was playing with her phone. "Xiaoping, you go back first." "Oh, okay." Yang Xiaoping glanced at Huamin with an unfriendly look in her eyes before she turned around and went back into the house. "Mom, what's the matter? Why do you have to talk to me in private?" Huamin smiled. "Mian, I went out to meet someone yesterday." Yang Merong didn't get straight to the point. Instead, she paused for a moment. Perhaps she was afraid that Huamin would not be able to accept it. "It's Hu Zhenghai, right?" Huamin asked. "How did you know?" His mother looked at Huamin in surprise. But what kind of person was Huamin? He knew what kind of person he was. Hu Zhenghai was currently in a civil war with Hu Xiqian. Hu Zhenghai needed money, so he had already asked her for help. She didn't help him, so Hu Zhenghai turned his attention to Yang Merong. Although his mother had a bad temper and was very direct, she was very soft-hearted. Hu Zhenghai took advantage of her weakness and used her time and time again to get benefits for himself. This made Huamin feel disgusted. "I think his company is in trouble. You know, after Xinjiani's accident, he doesn't have anyone he can trust. After all, Hu Xiqian is an adopted son, so he and Jiang Hong are trying to take over his family's wealth. He's in a tight spot right now because he needs a huge amount of money. Even the banks won't help him." "How much did he say he needed?" Huamin asked calmly. Yang Merong raised 5 fingers. 500 million yuan. 500 million yuan isn't a lot. Huamin nodded. "Yeah, I think Qin Chu should be able to afford it. Can you help him?" "Mom, do you know what will happen to us if we help him?" Huamin looked up into his mother's eyes and asked. "Don't worry, he said that he'll pay it back in 2 months. After 2 months, he'll get the money back from his other projects. When he has enough money, he'll pay it back immediately. Also, to show his sincerity, he said that he'll give you and Qin Chu 8% of the whole corporation's shares. I think these shares are quite valuable, so I wanted to ask you and see what you think." Chapter 1163. Most of the Hu Corporation's shares are in Hu Xiqian's hands, so what's the point of asking for that 8%? Plus, the Hu Corporation's stock market has always been unstable. If there's any negative news, the shares will become worthless. That's not a good thing. Seeing that Huamin wasn't going to let it go, Yang Merong continued. "He wasn't a good person when he was young, and he's always been a playboy. But now, he's in a pretty pitiful situation." "Mom, a pitiful person must have something to hate. We can't help him just because we sympathize with him. Do you remember the story of the farmer and the snake?" Huamin was furious. Hu Zhenghai once again took advantage of Yang Merong's soft-heartedness and kindness. "Mian, I know that, but you haven't seen him yet. He's old and clumsy with a head full of white hair. You know how soft-hearted I am, and I really can't stand it anymore. What I mean is, even if you don't give him 500 million yuan to marry him, you can at least give him 100 million yuan. You don't have to be afraid that he won't pay you back. He can use the real estate under his name as collateral. Mom, it's not a matter of whether or not he'll pay you back. If he really just needs money, I can ask Qin Chu to lend him the money. But the problem right now is that he's in a civil war with Huasiqian. If we help him, we'll be taking a side. When the time comes, Huasiqian will treat us as enemies. You probably don't know how scary his adopted son is. Let me put it this way, even Qin Chu is wary of him. He's that powerful? Yang Meirong looked surprised. She didn't expect this either. What do you think? If Hua Zhenghai lost so badly, would he need to go around borrowing money? You're right. Yang Meirong lowered her head sadly, as if she was in a difficult position. Mom, he's playing the emotional card with you. He knows your weakness and wants to take advantage of it. People like him don't deserve our help, and we don't have to fight against Huasiqian for him. Also, you might not know this, but he hasn't been back to the Hua mansion for a long time. He's been living outside. He's keeping a university student in Aohai Garden. She's only in her second year of university, and she's only 20 years old. She's even younger than me. Not only does he care about his career, but he also wants to have a son. A man who is never content is like a snake trying to swallow an elephant. Do you think he's worth my help? Are you telling the truth? Or did you hear it from someone else? Yang Meirong asked with her eyes wide open. Take a look for yourself. Huamin took out his phone and opened a link to a news article. This was a piece of gossip that had been released a few days ago, but no one liked to pay attention to Hua Zhenghai's news, so there wasn't much of a reaction. However, the photos were extremely clear. The first one was of him holding a girl's hand at the entrance of his neighborhood. The girl looked sweet, and she was wearing a red mink coat and a white beret. The second one was of them shopping at the supermarket. He was pushing a cart, and the girl was intimately holding onto his arm. The third one was even more shocking. They were kissing passionately in the car. Although it was only the side of Hua Zhenghai's face, one could still tell that it was him. After Yang Meirong saw it, her heart sank bit by bit. She couldn't believe that she still believed that old bastard. She was almost fooled again. That old bastard, it's karma for him to end up like this. He who is unjust is doomed to destruction. That's right, he's the type of person who's still in the mood to keep a university student. That's why I'm not willing to lend him 500 million yuan. How do I know if that 500 million yuan won't become a mansion or a Porsche that he bought for that girl? That's enough, Mian. I understand now. He'll never see me again. Yang Meirong was so angry that she turned around and left. After standing outside for a long time, Huamin was freezing. After they got into the car, Qin Chu turned on the heater, so it was warm inside. Honey, let's go. Huamin smiled and put on his seatbelt. After Yang Meirong got home, she sat down on the sofa with a belly full of anger. Yang Xiaoping, on the other hand, shamelessly walked up to her. Auntie, I'm really curious. How did Sister Huamin meet her husband? How did she suddenly marry into a rich family? She's not that good-looking, nor is she very educated. Chapter 1164. Maybe it's because they were childhood sweethearts back in high school. Yang Meirong wasn't paying close attention, so she didn't sense the jealousy in Yang Xiaoping's voice. They knew each other back in high school? Yang Xiaoping was a little confused. Yeah, they were in the same class back in high school. Back then, the school forbade people from dating at such a young age, so they were still. Sigh, I used to think that it was an ill-fated relationship, but now, it seems like your cousin was right to marry Qin Chu. His parents aside, Qin Chu treats Mian extremely well, and he always lets her do whatever she wants. Yang Meirong truly accepted Qin Chu from the bottom of her heart, and she approved of him. It was said that time was the best weapon to test a person, and in the blink of an eye, Huamin had been married for quite some time. She had a bad temper and would occasionally throw tantrums. There were a lot of negative news about her, and she didn't have a baby yet. She didn't have a good relationship with Qin Chu's parents either, so any other man would have lost their patience a long time ago. However, Yang Meirong noticed that Qin Chu was treating Huamin better and better, and she was truly satisfied for her daughter. It seems like Mian went to an elite high school, or else she wouldn't know so many big shots. Her tuition must have been quite expensive, Auntie. How could you be willing to spend so much money on her? Wasn't your family poor back then? Did you have to starve to pay for Mion's education so that she could flirt with men? Yang Xiaoping said with disdain. Yang Meirong was a little upset upon hearing this, and she looked at Yang Xiaoping in disbelief. What are you talking about? I mean, Mion's school fees were so high back then, was it really necessary? What if she didn't marry into a rich family, then wouldn't your investment have failed? Second High is the best school in the city, so it's normal for them to accept her. Plus, she performed exceptionally well and didn't spend a single cent on school fees in her 3 years of high school. The school didn't even pay for her books, so she only spent a little on living expenses. However, living expenses are something that can't be avoided. She's a day student and doesn't live in school. She eats at home, so she didn't spend much money. Plus, back then, we let her study at Second High, not because we wanted her to marry into a rich family, but because we wanted her to have a bright future. If it weren't for your uncle suddenly, Yang Meirong choked up as she spoke. If your uncle didn't die suddenly, and your cousin didn't want to leave Zhixin and me, she would have gone to the States right after high school. Yang Meirong vaguely remembered that when Mian graduated from high school, she won the attention of the entire city as the top scholar on the college entrance exam. Min even received offers from universities in several countries, all of which were Min's favorites. If Jingde didn't die, Min wouldn't have stayed in the city to study. At the very least, he would have become a doctor at the best medical school in Jing City. He wouldn't have had to take so many detours. In the past, she would have thought that Jingde's death had something to do with Min, so she hated him. But now, Yang Meirong's heart ached for her daughter, who had to take such a difficult path because of her family's change. Zhixin was right, Mion's life hadn't been easy all these years. I didn't know Mion's grades were so good. Then there's nothing I can do, I can't imitate her. My grades were terrible, and I didn't even finish middle school before my dad stopped me from studying. He said it was useless for girls to study so much, and that it was better for them to marry into a good family. Auntie, do you think my dad made sense? Chapter 1165. Your dad has a point, marriage is very important to a girl's life. Yang Meirong nodded. I'm so jealous of my cousin. I can't believe she got married to such an outstanding man. Yang Xiaoping rested her chin on her hands as she struggled with the question of Min. She didn't think her cousin was a great beauty. In fact, she didn't think Min was as pretty as her. She really didn't know what that man liked about Min. Your cousin-in-law is outstanding, but so is Mian. Although they don't come from the same family background, I think they're on the same level mentally. Otherwise, they wouldn't have such chemistry. Although Yang Meirong was old, she used to be an educated person and used to be in the entertainment industry. Naturally, she understood what mental nourishment was. Auntie, what's mental nourishment? Can't beauty attract a man? Yang Xiaoping asked confusedly as she touched her face. You probably wouldn't understand even if I explained it to you. Okay, stop thinking about it, go back to your room and sleep. Yang Meirong wasn't in the mood to chat with her niece, so she chased her upstairs. Then, Yang Meirong sent Hu Jinghai a WeChat message. I asked Mian and tried to help you, but she refused. There's nothing I can do, you're on your own now. Hu Jinghai was taking a shower in a female university student's rented apartment. The girl heard his phone ring, so she picked it up and glanced at it. Jinghai, you have WeChat, the girl said sweetly. It was quite awkward for a 20-year-old girl to call Hu Jinghai, who was in his 50s. Hu Jinghai walked out of the bathroom with a towel wrapped around his waist and glanced at his phone. Stupid bitch, I can't believe I couldn't trick her. Hu Jinghai thought that if Yang Meirong really wanted to help him, she would have forced Min to lend him the money. In the end, Yang Meirong didn't put in enough effort and didn't persuade Min. Unwilling to give up, he replied, Rong, if 500 million isn't enough, then 100 million isn't enough? We're husband and wife, and I'm Mian's father. Please help me, I don't have anywhere else to go, or else I wouldn't have made things difficult for you. He continued to put on a pitiful act. However, Yang Meirong already knew the truth, so how could she be soft-hearted? Really? You're at your wit's end, so you're keeping a college girl? Hu Jinghai, You're at your wit's end, so you want to give birth to a son to fight against Wuxia? But I advise you to forget it. You're already so old. If you tire yourself out and give birth to a daughter, your hopes will be dashed. Even if you give birth to a son, do you think that adopted son of yours will give you the time to wait for him to grow up? Huijinghai, karma reaps what you sow. Don't be too evil, really? God is watching over you. Huijinghai was rendered speechless. He immediately realized that Yang Mirong already knew everything. How could he lie to her? Looks like I've blocked another path. On the way back, Qin Chu didn't drive fast because it was snowing and the road was slippery. Hubby, what do you think of my cousin? That village girl? Qin Chu frowned slightly. Huimin nodded. How do you want me to evaluate it? Qin Chu was a little embarrassed. Just tell her the truth. I think she's a little simple-minded. That's why I don't recommend her to stay and take care of Mom. If you want a nanny, you should find one who's mentally sound and has undergone professional training. The kind that pays 10,000 a month and does things cleanly and efficiently. I don't understand why you want her to stay. Qin Chu's words were truly harsh. If a girl knew that the man she had always admired called her simple-minded, she would probably want to bang her head against a wall. Huimin wanted to laugh, but he held back his laughter. The reddest explained, because she's cheap, 3,000 is enough. However, Qin Chu added fuel to the fire. Cheap things don't mean good things. Good things don't come cheap. This time, Huimin almost burst out laughing. She happily turned her head to look at Qin Chu and confess, Mr. Qin, I love you so much. She said it with a straight face. She swore that she was serious. However, what Qin Chu said next shocked her even more. Qin Chu said, Chapter 1166. Love isn't for words, it's for actions. Can you win? Huimin covered his face with both hands, completely impressed. She had confessed so seriously, but why did Mr. Qin respond so crazily? Back to the topic, Mom wanted to talk to you about Huijinghai, right? Qin Chu asked. Not bad. You know how to call me Mom now. Money is indeed powerful. 20,000 yuan was all it took to get you, Huimin said proudly. Qin Chu was speechless. Can't we have a nice conversation? Yes, Mom did want to talk to me about Huijinghai. That despicable bastard took advantage of my mom's kindness and softness to play the victim. My mom was almost tricked by him again. Then what did you say? Don't be so quick to reject her, don't hurt her feelings. Qin Chu cared about his mother-in-law's feelings, so he tried to persuade Huimin. I don't care, I just showed my mom evidence of Huijinghai keeping college students as his mistress. That's simple and violent. Mom must be very sad. She's okay. The truth is that she doesn't have any feelings for him anymore, she just feels sorry for him. That man squandered my mom's last bit of feelings for him time and time again. People like him are the worst. It's good that you're okay with it. Let's not get involved in the Hua family's business, or else we'll be in deep trouble. I know, even if you asked me to help, I wouldn't. I'm not a saint, I won't help someone who once treated me like dirt, and I definitely won't make an enemy out of a man who's scarier than the devil. Qin Chu nodded. Then, the couple returned to South Hill Manor. After Ni Yang's test results came out, everything was normal. Huimin talked to Ni Yang's original surgeon and finally decided to give him back his freedom. Therefore, he called Qin Chu and told him about Ni Yang's arrangement. GK was very efficient, and on the same day, they announced that Ni Yang would be taking over Director Chen's film. Ni Yang happily sent Huimin 8 red packets of 200 yuan in a row, thanking Huimin for her help. The days passed by one after another. As the end of the year approached, GK Media and Imperial Star Entertainment began to compete with each other. There were many New Year's movies at the end of the year. The celebrities from the Liang family's company competed in movies, appearances, and box office sales. Some people were bored. They took photos of the presidents of the two companies and began comparing their looks. The scene was especially brutal. GK headquarters. When Qin Chu walked out of the conference room after the meeting, Assistant Yang handed him his phone. Boss, the branch office in T-City just called. Something happened to Director Jiang. What happened? Qin Chu was extremely calm and didn't care about Jiang Linyue's condition at all. Apparently, when President Jiang went out to investigate the construction site, something happened. She was hit by a pillar and was injured. Luckily, the injury wasn't serious, and her bones were just dislocated. However, she needs to recuperate. Vice President Ji Qinglin is in charge of things over there for now. Okay. Qin Chu nodded, indicating that he was satisfied with the personnel arrangement. Sir, President Jiang already called to ask for leave. She hopes that she can take paid leave as soon as possible. Approved. President Jiang also said that she'll reimburse the company for her hospitalization and recuperation. Approved. Qin Chu was an upright person. Even if Jiang Linyue hated him, he would still do business. If that woman really was injured at work, then he had to take care of her and give her paid leave. Boss, but President Jiang also said. Assistant Yang continued to say. You better finish it all at once, because I don't have much patience when it comes to her. Qin Chu was a bit impatient and frowned slightly. Chapter 1167. Sir, President Jiang also said that she wants to come back to Sea City for treatment. After all, she's a woman with no family in the outside world, so she wants to apply to come back here. Assistant Yang spoke carefully as he observed his boss's expression. Even Assistant Yang could tell what Jiang Linyue was thinking. She wanted to apply to come back to Sea City for treatment. Once she recovered, she wouldn't go back and would stay at HQ. This move directly contradicted a young lady's original decision. Assistant Yang wasn't sure if the president would agree or not. After all, she was injured. Most men would sympathize with women, and Jiang Linyue was quite good at playing the sympathy card. Upon hearing this, Qin Chu paused in his steps and turned to look at Assistant Yang. Tell her, if she continues to stay in T-City for treatment, the company will pay for all the expenses. If she wants to come back, that's fine, but she has to submit her resignation letter. Assistant Yang didn't expect the president to be so ruthless. What? Do you have any objections? Qin Chu glanced at his assistant's face indifferently. Then, Qin Chu turned around and walked into his office. Assistant Yang picked up his phone and called Jiang Linyue. President Jiang, Assistant Yang, how did it go? What did Qin Chu say? Jiang Linyue seemed to be anxious. Director Jiang, the president said. Assistant Yang bit his lip, not daring to say it out loud. After all, Jiang Linyue's expression wouldn't be good if she heard it. What did he say? Hurry up and say it, I'm so anxious. Did President Qin agree to let me go back? Jiang Linyue was pleasantly surprised. When she first thought of this idea, she thought it would work. No matter how cold President Qin was, he was still a man, and any man would sympathize with someone. She thought of everything, but she forgot that Qin Chu didn't care if she went back or not. Instead, he cared that Huamin didn't want her to go back. That was the main point. It was Huamin's decision to transfer Jiang Linyue away. If he transferred her back now, Huamin wouldn't think too much about it, but he would still feel uncomfortable. After all, no one wanted to see a scheming bitch in front of them all day long. Boss said that if you want to continue recuperating in T-City, your expenses will be covered by the company and your leave will be approved. However, if you want to come back here, you have to do something first. What is it? Jiang Linyue was impatient, and she hated Assistant Yang for being so slow. I need to submit my resignation letter first. Jiang Linyue fell silent. Is this really what the president wants? Jiang Linyue gritted her teeth and slowly asked. Director Jiang, I'm just a small assistant. No matter how bold I am, I wouldn't spread rumors. Yang said innocently. But why do I feel like you're closer to a young lady? Did Huamin tell you to say that? What the hell? What does this have to do with a young lady? You're really funny. Yang was really unhappy. A young lady hadn't been to the company for a long time. Would she care about such trivial matters? Jiang Linyue was truly a petty woman who was jealous of the heart of a gentleman. You better not. Then, Jiang Linyue unceremoniously hung up the phone with a bang. She looked at the bandage on her leg. She was indeed injured, but she did it on purpose. She set up an accident for herself. It was just a light kick, nothing serious. However, she exaggerated the severity of the accident to gain President Qin's sympathy. She didn't think that Qin Chu would be so heartless. Why can he be so nice to Huamin, but treat me like dirt? Jiang Linyue angrily pushed over the vase on the coffee table and smashed it into pieces. Qin Chu treated Huamin well, spoiled Huamin, and indulged Huamin, making many women jealous. For example, Song Yishe, Jiang Linyue, and even Yang Xioping were jealous. However, they all forgot the most important thing. Qin Chu was only nice to her because she was Huamin. If it wasn't for Huamin, no matter how beautiful or outstanding she was, it would be useless. At noon, Huamin went to the cafeteria for lunch, and to his surprise, he saw Huaxiqian. He held a tray of food and sat directly across from Huamin. "Are you going to ask why I'm here?" Huaxiqian said the eternal line for Huamin. You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.